again today in Maryland over his deportation and imprisonment in El Salvador. It's a hearing to follow up on what steps are being taken to have him returned. He denies accusations he's a violent gang member. An accused gang leader may be closer to deportation after a hearing in Virginia.
A federal judge grants the Justice Department's motion to dismiss charges against Henry Villatoros Santos, who was arrested on weapons charges last month in Virginia. Charges the Department of Justice moved to drop to expedite the deportation process for the El Salvador native that they call a top leader of the MS-13 terror group, who was living in the U.S. illegally. The judge's order paused until Friday, giving the defense a chance to explore other options. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
A Columbia University student protester arrested in an immigration office in Vermont. Mohsen Madawi also avoids deportation for now.
His legal team filing a petition in court against the Trump administration, calling the detainment unlawful and challenging the rarely used immigration provision, allowing the removal of lawful permanent residents on the basis that they present a threat to U.S. foreign policy. A U.S. district judge has blocked Madawi's removal from the U.S. or Vermont.
Fox's Lillian Wu. Joe Biden gives a speech in Chicago today.
Former President Biden is billed to speak about Social Security tonight at an annual conference. He's been trying to get back into the mix. He and former First Lady Jill Biden offering themselves up to the DNC to hold fundraisers, to stump on behalf of Democrats. But Politico has been reporting that a person who worked closely with the Biden campaign said this: "It takes a special level of chutzpah as the man most responsible for re-electing Donald Trump to decide that it's your voice that is missing in this moment."
It's Fox's Aisha Hosni. America's listening to Fox News.
Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk, my sponsor, my wireless company, has a better offer. The brand new free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan for $35 a month. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 15 gigs of data, all on America's most dependable 5G network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk for your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan. Pure Talk, wireless by Americans for Americans.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Going to keep it a little bit on the windy side going through our Tuesday afternoon, but there's lots of sunshine out there. 63, kind of cold overnight tonight with clear skies. 42 Wednesday, sunshine. Try to warm it up to about 68 Wednesday afternoon. Periods of rain showers and a couple of spot thunderstorms Thursday. 73, unsettled Friday, Saturday, and again on Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. When Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com talks to people about health insurance, they tell him, 1, my premiums are too much. Number 2, My deductible is so high, I never meet it. And 3, my doctor doesn't accept my plan anymore. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance and available all year long, so you can enroll today. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh yeah, this is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Where's all your money gone, Donnie?
Taxes.
It's okay. It's part of the game.
No, it's not. It's not fun.
It's not fun to what?
It's the worst part of the game.
Is what?
Taxes.
Welcome to the Annie Frey Show, Mannie Frey Show. Annie will be back tomorrow. We're all looking forward to that. In the meantime, today is tax day. It's the tax deadline that we refer to as tax day. This is also Christmas if you are an accountant. But I say that joke, and it sucks because if you're an accountant, you're definitely not listening to the radio. You're just doing crazy work right now. So anyway, welcome to Tax Day here, the 15th of April. It floats around a little bit, but it's always this time of year. We talked about making the poll today, did you do your taxes? And then tagging IRS, and then doing a whole first segment about why did we fire 87,000 IRS workers? We were going to advocate that we keep them. And then we were going to see if the government paid us to do that. It doesn't really work like that. And in fact, we would never do that. So the YouTube live chat poll is, will America ever have a balanced budget again? Yes or no? Lots of comments on this one already. Love to see it. Love to see it. So log on to the YouTube live chat and let us know what you think, because honestly, you'd love to say yes to this, but we're all really skeptical. I mean, we really are here on tax day. I want to open with, and we'll get to some news here, but since this is the very beginning of the show, and maybe you're right now heading out for lunch, if we caught you kind of at the end of lunch, because most people head out, 11:30 or so we're kind of at the end of that window. But I wanted to let you know that there are some really great tax day freebies going on. Yeah, this isn't hard news. I get it. We'll get there. But just letting you know, Krispy Kreme, customers who purchase an assorted or original glazed dozen donuts will get a second box of 12 for just the price of tax. Burger King, if you're a Royal Perks member, can get a 1-cent cheeseburger today with the purchase of $1 or more. I don't know what Royal Perks is. It's probably one of their apps or something. Do you have any of the fast food apps?
The apps for fast food?
No. I do.
No.
I've got multiples.
Wait, I think I've got Chick-fil-A.
Do you? Oh, see, that's one I don't have.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I've got, and I don't think I ever use it because I never go to Chick-fil-A.
You know what, though? It's the best way to go to fast food restaurants.
Is it?
Any fast food restaurant anymore, and some are better than others. Ethan, do you have any fast food apps on your phone as you walk in the door here? No. Okay.
I don't think so, off the top of my head.
I'm telling you, that's the best way to do fast food.
You know what? Actually, I lied. I have McDonald's. I just don't use...
See, and McDonald's is one of the best. Their deals are awesome. I've got McDonald's. I've got Arby's. I've got a couple other ones, Dairy Queen, and they always have daily deals.
The thing is that
it encourages me to go eat more fast food, which is really great.
I don't eat fast food enough to really use these, but when I do, at least for McDonald's, because it's literally right across the street from my apartment.
And the deals are good.
They are good. I feel
really
like they
are.
constantly have really good deals over there.
7-Eleven is on the list today
Oh, wow.
for tax day freebies. Anybody who places a tax day order of $20 plus from 7-Eleven can get $10.40 off of their delivery. I didn't even know 7-Eleven delivered. Look, this is just free advertising. So
Are there 7-Elevens around here?
that was my next question. There used to be one in downtown, and then in 2020 during riots, I think it got burned down. I don't really know of any 7-Elevens around here.
It got burned down here in 2020?
Yeah.
I didn't know that we had stuff get burned down here in 2020.
Well, it wasn't like they rioted throughout and burned down the entire city. It was like individual things just got torched or destroyed, or people spray paint all over the things and destroy them.
They had a list.
I don't know
of the options of what can we take down, and 7-Eleven was first to go.
Here's the thing. I'm not really sure there was a lot of forethought into these things.
You're telling me it wasn't a planned attack?
You know what? There are probably a few people who dropped off pallets of bricks. They knew exactly what they were doing. They just didn't care where the bricks went. They just like, hey, oh, shoot.
Not my bricks anymore.
Not my bricks. Oh, shoot. That was my construction project. Oh, man, they're throwing those now?
That is not what I intended for those at all.
Who knows who was funding that stuff?
They were
Maybe
supposed
the same
to build
people that
up,
were
not
funding
tear down.
our prosecutors. Shake Shack. We have Shake Shacks, don't we?
Yes. There's one. Well, I know there's one out in Chesterfield, and I know there's one inside Enterprise Center, which that's not entirely the same. But those are the only two I know of in the area.
Free single black truffle burger with the purchase of $10.40 or more. That's pretty easy to do.
But what do you? I guess if you're going for yourself though, what are you supposed to? You're not really
Just get you a shake.
Is it $10?
I don't know.
Get 2 shakes.
I know stuff is pretty expensive at Shake Shack, but
Get 2 shakes and then say, I don't give 2 shakes. Like the phrase. Okay.
I can tell you're really waiting for that sympathy laugh and you just didn't get it.
Don't worry. Casey's on tax day. Casey's rewards members. Here's the thing. You got to sign up for a lot of these things. Casey's rewards members who purchase a large pizza will receive a pizza refund, a free large one-topping pizza in their account. That's a pretty good deal.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah, but can the breakfast pizza be categorized under one topping?
That's a good question, and I think that you need to get corporate on for the next segment, if you could, since you're a producer.
You want me to be in for this segment too?
No.
You should just call them on the break and be like, hey.
Yeah. Call corporate for Casey's and get them. Smoothie King. Again, rewards members will get $3 off any $15 purchase, $4 off any $20 purchase. My kids, man, they love Smoothie King, and you know why? Because they watch that show, Dude Perfect.
Oh, really?
Dude Perfect plugs Smoothie King. Like
hardcore,
crazy. They're always like, "I love Smoothie King now." I'm like, "Oh, so advertising works." I see.
Smoothie King is pretty dang good.
Is Hooters still in business?
Yes, they declared bankruptcy, but not the one where they go completely out of business.
Chapter 11.
Yeah, they're restructuring and they're coming back.
Okay, Hooters customers can use the app today to see which appetizers will be just $4.15. Potbelly, we still have some of those around, don't we?
There's one in St. Charles.
Yeah. That's a good restaurant. They offer customers a free original sandwich with any purchase of an original sandwich. That's buy one, get one.
All right.
So there's a few for you. There's a few. I figured we'd start with the easy stuff, the fun stuff, since it's tax day. And we all did our taxes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or had someone do them for us.
Someone do them for us. I have not tried to do taxes in years, because if one time I did them, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I tried to use one of those free apps that says you can do them for free with whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try that this year. And the more I got into it, the more it was like, well, if you want to do that, though, you got to pay a little bit extra. And I'm like, well, I need that thing, so I'll pay a little bit extra. By the end of it, I had paid for so many little extra things that it was the same as using an accountant. And I did all the work.
It also just, listen, I don't know about how much like the cost is for doing your taxes, because this is my first year being married, not being under my parents. But it feels like it's so much time, and I feel like at least a decent amount of stress that gets put into it. I don't know. It feels like it's a common sense thing for me that I'm going to continue with just using an accountant.
Yeah, and then you kind of push off the culpability a little bit too, and say, well, that's what they said. is this your first year doing your taxes?
I didn't. Well, technically, even this
as a married couple, it is.
Yes, but even still, we still went under like my parents had I guess it was done separately, but it was the people that did my parents, my family did ours as well. So I still had to do very little this year for my taxes.
I got a note
really
yesterday
nice.
from my accountant that said, hey, reminder that you have to pay your bill. And this is my reminder to you. You have to pay your bill if you owe by today.
Mm-hmm.
And
paid.
I freaked out because my refund said that I was supposed to have 3 refunds, Missouri, Illinois, and federal. No, I didn't have to pay anything. So I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Don't you dare charge me for something.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's just a mass email. It's like, what? But it said to you have to pay.
So apparently you can file for an extension, but the money is still due today. You can't file an extension on the money that you owe, but you can file an extension on filing.
Have you ever done it past tax day?
No.
You've never extended.
Mm-mm.
I did one time. I can't remember why, but it was the easiest thing in the world. They act like, oh, you really got to do it. And then you come up with any excuse at all. And you go, I need to extend. And they're like, okay. But you have to say that you're going to. You can't just do it. You have to tell them that you're going to extend.
Yeah, but I think the money is still due.
Oh, I'm not saying, I mean, even filing your taxes at all, because you don't know what you're owed until you file your taxes, which I didn't do until October of one year. I can't remember why I did it. Anyway, tax day today, and there are some freebies and things for you. We'll get back to some more of that later in the show, I'm sure, because there are quite a few more of those things.
And it's also Jackie Robinson Day today in baseball, which is always a really cool day. I think Major League Baseball does a really good job with Jackie Robinson Day and just remembering and just honoring the legacy of him and what he was able to accomplish for baseball, but also just for the country and, I mean, really the world. And just
is that where they all wear the same number?
They all wear 42 and no names on the back. And
they're still wearing their team jersey.
We're still
it's
wearing
just the number 42.
Still wearing their team jersey. Just everyone wears 42. I will say, from a broadcasting perspective, being the booth assistant for 2 years, trying to figure out who the heck is warming up in the bullpen becomes a little bit more difficult.
Just say number 42 is warming up in the bullpen.
That became difficult at times. But the event itself, Jackie Robinson Day, there are a few things in sports that are done better than how Major League Baseball handles that holiday.
I really encourage you. I don't know if you'll ever get the opportunity to do this or pass this along to Rick Horton or somebody. Let them know that it would be great. And that I really want to hear them do an entire inning where they just say the numbers of the players.
Now batting number 42.
That's a 5-4-3 from number 42 to 42 to 42.
42 going back.
And it gets number 42.
It's a goner.
Hit 42 feet.
So anyway, if you could make that happen, just let us know.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Before we get to the break here and the actual news I said I was going to share with you, President Trump has tweeted out or truthed out, one of the two, that he is now fully putting his endorsement behind defunding NPR and PBS. Now, this seemed like a court foregone conclusion, but he has officially said that he wants it to happen, which means it probably is going to happen. And I really quick, one of my earliest memories, craziest thing, and I had to have been 3 years old, was at a drive-in. My assumption is that it was Belleville, but I have no clue. I was at a drive-in, and my parents, my mom, took me to see the first Sesame Street movie they ever made, and it was at a drive-in, and it was called Follow That Bird. And I was so emotional because when you watch Sesame Street ends quickly. Like the conflict is, oh man, what happens when you don't water a flower?
Right.
Oh, the flower died. Oh man, well, we're going to have to water the flower, and the conflict is resolved instantly. Like, oh, great. That was great. And it took 60 seconds. But when you watch a movie, there's conflict that has to take place over an hour and a half.
It has to increase.
And yes,
and turns.
And my 3-year-old mind could not handle that. And so when Big Bird decided to leave Sesame Street, which is, I think, the plot of the movie, I wept uncontrollably, could not stop. And my mom had to console me. And I told her, I want to leave. I can't handle the rest of this movie. And she was telling me it's going to get better. And I don't think we watched the rest of the movie.
Can you imagine if it wouldn't have?
That was it.
That ends poor, sadly like that. Like Big Bird died.
So that's the claim, is that they're going to kill Big Bird. They're going to kill Sesame Street if they defund PBS. Here is Representative Garcia. This is a week or two ago in Congress, grilling the head of, I think it's the corporate public broadcasting company or the PBS head. Here it is.
He is a puppet, but no.
Now, that's not all. He also has a very dangerous message about sharing and helping each other. He's indoctrinating our kids that sharing is caring. Now, maybe he's part of a major socialist plot, and maybe that's why the chairwoman is having this hearing today. But let's talk about somebody else. Let's talk about Cookie Monster. Now, we know that Health Secretary RFK Jr. is coming out against fast food and baked goods. Are we silencing pro-cookie voters? Yes or no? Ms. Garger.
But cookies are a sometime food.
Well, thank you. And now I agree with you. And let's also talk about the most important maybe character on Sesame Street. This is actually Big Bird. Now, Ms. Kruger, since Elon Musk actually fired USDA workers who have been working on the bird flu, does it make sense to also fire Big Bird? Yes or no?
We would like to keep Big Bird.
You'd like to keep Big Bird. Okay, so this Garcia, he goes around, he makes points about Elmo first, then Cookie Monster, then Big Bird. And it's all these broad political points that he's trying to make using Sesame Street. He's talking to the head of PBS, head of corporate for Public Broadcasting Corporation. And she very dishonestly says, well, at the end there, we'd like to keep Big Bird. I just want to point out something that everybody in that room, especially her, knew. PBS has not had the rights. They don't own, nor have they had the rights to even air, other than maybe in syndication, Sesame Street for over 5 years. They are not making new episodes of Sesame Street. They haven't for the better part of a decade, and everybody in that room knew it. And the only place where you can watch new episodes of Sesame Street now is HBO, which has nothing to do with PBS. So PBS knows this, openly says, though, yeah, but we'd like to make sure you don't kill Big Bird, even though it doesn't have anything to do with us anymore.
We'd like to keep Big Bird.
You
don't have Big Bird.
Now, maybe there are local affiliates that are getting older episodes that still run once in a while. But I'm telling you right now, I had a show that ran on PBS semi-nationally for 2 years. And so I know a little bit more about PBS than I should. And I can tell you that they bank on Daniel Tiger. That's their future. They are all about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Daniel Tiger, and the whole enterprise. They don't even count Sesame Street as part of their lineup anymore. So unless it's running in syndication in your local market from older episodes, there is no affiliation between PBS or killing Big Bird or killing Sesame Street at all that this will affect. But it does talk nice for Congress and talking points.
Where are you on PBS and NPR and all that other stuff?
There's just no reason for it anymore. And look, I don't even dislike PBS. I don't even dislike NPR. They lean left. But I think they provide a service. But if that service is important enough, you can pay for it. We don't need to fund that with taxpayer money.
What was the purpose of it originally?
It was just like everything else, is that it provides the public good. It was like we were saying yesterday, universities are the same way.
Yeah.
Well, it's all for the public betterment is the argument. That was also, this was formed in the 60s. How many TV stations did you have? Not many. And they were saying, well, it's bad to have corporate greed involved in all of our content. How about if we have one thing that's not, similar to the BBC or CBC or whatever?
Yeah. And like we said yesterday, everything that is publicly funded, not for profit, eventually bends left.
It goes pretty hard left. And I would say PBS is one of the better ones because they've at least had the veneer that they've tried to maintain. But they still definitely lean left, especially with the programming. But NPR, obviously,
right.
These aren't things. And look, they don't really need public funding anymore. It's a chunk of their money, but it's not the majority of their money anymore. So these things, the argument that it's going to take it away doesn't even hold water on that front. Even if they did have Sesame Street, taking away public funding isn't going to kill them.
No,
they probably will survive anyway. Anyway, we're long. And I want to get to Dan Fitter. He's coming up next. He is a business and trades ambassador for St. Charles. We are going to talk about the trades because guess what? If President Trump's plan works, we are going to need a lot of people to be working in the trades and manufacturing in the United States. How are we handling that? Well, let's talk to somebody local about it. Dan Fitter is coming up next.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Just stop your crying at the time of your life. Breaking through the atmosphere.
Man, I love eating at Andrea's. It's my wife's birthday coming up, just about the same as Annie's birthday. They're a couple days apart, and we are planning on going to Andrea's. The problem is when you get a great meal, for me, it's their tenderloin steak, their filet. I always get the same thing, but everybody always talks about how amazing the prime rib is. I'm looking on their website right now. Can you believe, have you ever had a prime rib that was 24 ounces? That's their prime rib. Their big filet, which I always get, is 12 ounces. It's like a softball size. Unbelievable, unbelievable food. If you've never been to Andrea's, go have a steak. Treat yourself to a steak. Treat your wife to a steak or your husband to a steak for your next occasion, or just make an occasion up. They always have, they always have great steaks, but they also add in seasonal things. And last time I was there, because I've said this on the radio so many times that I always get the steak, I was like, I'm going to force myself to try something else. And I had their ahi tuna, which is seasonal. It is seared in a rare ginger Szechuan wasabi sauce. These are chefs. I mean, they really know what they're doing. And they're super cool. Great atmosphere. Brad just did the chef's kiss. Thank you for that. Broiled sea bass, lobster Andrea, shrimp. These are some of the seasonal items. But again, they are famous for their steaks, and they are famous for their steak sauce. Andrea's sauce. You can get that sauce in area grocery stores. You can also get their new barbecue sauce or their salad dressing as well. See it all at Andreas.com.
Summer is on the way, or should I say the heat in St. Louis, it's on its way. Be here before we even know it. If you haven't had your air conditioners checked and set up and ready to go for this cooling season, or if you were told you might need a new one, or you just think this is the time of the year, this year is the time to just go ahead and replace it. Prices are down, 0% financing is available. It's still the best time to call me. Don't put it off. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. Again, that's 314-293-2600 in Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year around, and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need, while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
The Foley Foundation works tirelessly to bring American hostages home. Kim St. here. We're raising awareness about the Foley Foundation's mission to reunite families, hold captors accountable, and prevent future hostage taking. Visit 971talk.com/events to learn more.
This is the Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Perhaps it's to bring back American manufacturing, but I really think that's a pipe dream and not something that is likely to be accomplished. And we could even raise questions about whether or not, in a broad-based way, that's a desirable goal.
Oh, it's a pipe dream, and maybe not even something we want, according to Janet Yellen. Yeah, she's involved in our finances. Well, she was until Trump took over in January. Let's talk to Dan Fitter about whether it's desirable that America have manufacturing jobs. Dan, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate being on your show.
So, Dan, you are a business and trades ambassador for St. Charles, and you're doing a great job out there of really trying to recruit people to be a part of the trades. I want to ask you first, though, how big of a problem is our workforce right now? I know we have an aging workforce that's moving a little bit out of the trades. What about those coming in? Do we have enough people?
Well, if you just look at the standard approach to hiring individuals, yeah, we do have a challenge if we're going to go to the marketplace and just pick off resumes and hire individuals. But, here in St. Charles, we've taken advantage of a new program that's allowed us to start overcoming that hurdle and create a workforce for us for the sustainable future.
Yeah, Dan, I want to talk about your program a little bit, but let me ask you before we do, why do you think this is? I mean, what is it about the generation that's coming up now that is something steering them away from the trades? Because the pay is good. I know that.
Yeah, you hit it. The pay is good. I think a lot of it is just lack of connection. We as a community had a hard time getting access to young adults coming out of high school. So if young adults don't know the opportunities exist, A, and B, when we start looking at skill sets that we require in advanced manufacturing, and you look at the skill sets of young adults today, they're highly capable when it comes to technology, computer savvy. They're able to multitask. They have the traits we need in manufacturing. And when we accept that they have the traits and the types, and we can help them develop the skills, there becomes a very good match for them to come into advanced manufacturing.
So with the Trump agenda clearly in place, I mean, they've stated very, very overtly that their goal is to bring more of these jobs in. If we're having trouble getting people to enter them as they are now, how are we going to handle having even more job opportunities in these fields?
Yeah. So part of, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, we have to find solutions to every problem, right? And some may be quality, some may get productivity. We can look at technology, but at the end of the day, we need to look at the workforce that's available to us, and take advantage of the policies that are in place that allow us to grow our employment and market to these young adults in particular, market to them to attract them into our businesses. We're a company that's grown 14% year over year for over a decade. We do business with companies that are seeing 30% year over year growth.
What company is that, just for clarity?
My company is Quest Specialty Products.
Okay. And so but you've taken on, because you're in that field, you've taken on being an ambassador for people to even work in these fields in general, right?
That is correct. And part of it is us as business owners connecting with youth and educating them not only on the money they can make, but the opportunities and careers they can have. I have a degree, I have a master's degree, but to work in manufacturing, we value the skill of the worker like we value a university-based education. You can be an engineer based on your technical skills. You can be a great buyer. There are so many different avenues. And if you start in manufacturing and you learn the trade and the operations, you can go many, many directions in your career. And we're out there promoting that so that everyone knows this is a great route to a great future and career.
So Dan, this is a national problem, but it is really people like you who are on the ground, and not just like all of a sudden you're doing this. You've been doing this for a while, and you've seen the writing on the wall that we need a generation to come up. So explain exactly what you're doing in St. Charles and Fort Zumwalt, that you're addressing problems that we already have a little bit, but that may be even growing in the future.
Sure. So over a decade, I've been involved in doing manufacturing days and trying to work with young adults to show them the different types of trades and opportunities that we had in manufacturing. But not in 2016, a lot changed. The Department of Labor changed the laws and said if you have a registered youth apprentice program, which is well defined, you can now start hiring young adults at the age of 16 or 17 years old from these registered youth apprentice schools. And what's critical about that is we now not only have to have showcases and show and tell about trying to attract these young adults, we now have a window to open and to hire them. Fort Zumwalt School District in our community in St. Charles led the way. In 2019, they became a registered youth apprentice high school. All their high schools, they had a coordinator trained, and we had the benefit of one of the best in the state, maybe in the country, was involved in that program then and is involved with what we're trying to do today. They reached out to manufacturers and said, hey, we have students that can now work for you in the trades. Do you have an interest in hiring them? We started hiring. We were the second company in to hire, and we put these young adults to work. And they were working side by side at 16 and 17-year-olds, side by side with 10-year employees. And we were just overly impressed with their ability to learn and adapt. So fast forward to last year, we finally got to the point as a community, and this was with the help of the Economic Development Council, local chambers, leaders of all of our different communities. We all rallied around getting all the high schools in St. Charles as registered youth apprentice high schools. That happened and started in July of 2024, and by September, we had all 5 high schools, including our technical school at Lewis and Clark, registered for the Youth Apprentice Program. We as businesses then stepped up and working with CEOs and competitors of ours in some cases, we stepped up and said, we're going to fund as businesses what it costs for the schools to get their coordinators trained. And we're going to pay to bring one of the best consultants in to help us draft the curriculum, which is, by the way, the company is Career Ways. And the most important part in this element was not just the manufacturers are now at the table, but Fort Zumwalt School District, the entire administration, Dr. Pat Brown, Andy McAfee, and the entire team became mentors and supporters of the other school districts. So together, as a total community, we rallied around expanding and accelerating this program, which we call the Youth Apprenticeship Accelerator Program. And now we have all schools. And the cool thing about this is the Career Ways is working with developing the students. They're going through helping them get ready to work in an adult environment, doing personality profiles, coaching them. And we have a selection day. And we're really proud of the format we put in place. We are recruiting young adults coming in trades like they're athletes going to college.
Wow.
Our students going to university. We have tours of both the coordinators of the high schools as well as students. We have interview process where we interviewed 14 individuals in a matter of 3 hours. All companies and all students are in the same area, same building, and that recruiting event of selection day is kind of like the NCAA having their selection day.
It's the draft.
It's the draft.
That's
and
super cool.
It really is cool. And in this last one, in a 4-month period, we had 19 more students sign up. We have another one that was just in January. We have another one coming up in another month, and we have over 35 students that will be at the table. We're moving it from 6 companies that were originally sponsors to 8, and we've reached out to many more, and we're ready to open the door to any St. Charles, any company that wants to participate in the program.
Dan, I mean, what you've put together in St. Charles and what everybody's kind of coming together to do is really an impressive machine that you've got. Because what I hear you saying is that in 2016, during Trump 45, it sounds like he had his Department of Labor change some of the laws to make it more accessible for more kids to start moving into trades, which obviously they saw the writing on the wall too, that we need to be doing that. But it wasn't just a federal government that just from the top down said, okay, we'll kind of grease the runway for you. It was your local St. Charles community businesses. It was the schools. It was the local government. And really what's impressive to me is that you've put together this coalition of businesses that doesn't take from the tax money. We don't need the taxes because the businesses need workers so badly that they're willing to fund these kids coming up through these programs.
You just, I think that's the model. You just described it very well. And thanks, Ryan. You did it a lot more efficiently than I do because there's a lot of details behind it. But you're absolutely right. Let me give you a number here. And this is why businesses are so excited about it, as well as the educators. We have a goal to get to 600 apprentices. And we're a little under 100 right now, but we just started the accelerator, back in September of last year. 600 students, young students working in the trades will generate a little over $100 million of value-added work, manufacturing work for our community.
Wow.
$100 million while they're in high school, and their wages are estimated to be $21 million while they're in high school. This is very serious opportunity from every element, not only for the benefit of manufacturers, but it jump starts the livelihoods of these young adults. And if I may add, we have a young man that just turned 20 years old. He was with us not at the very beginning, but he came in as a second wave of apprentices 3 years ago. At 20 years old, just got approved for a loan to buy a home. So this is what you said is absolutely correct. This is about a community taking advantage of a policy that is benefit for all of us. And it's in the early stages, and everyone involved is so very proud of where we are today. But we got a lot of heavy lifting to get to our goal of 600 active apprentices, generating $100 million in value for our companies.
Well, that's a great goal. But Dan, you guys have the groundwork laid. I mean, that's very exciting. I'm so glad to be able to share good news. It seems like so often we get on here and we're sharing just, things that aren't quite going right. We're being watchdogs. But when things are going right, Dan, I love to report on that. Dan Fitter, thank you so much for your time. Business and Trades Ambassador for St. Charles. Keep up the great work and keep in touch. Okay, let's keep talking about this.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to share.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate your time. We got to keep up on this. I mean, St. Charles sounds like they've been on it for now several years.
Yeah, I got a text message from a listener, and this is in the trades.
Okay.
And he was saying that his friends work, their plumbing agency, they have to turn work away because they don't have enough plumbers, and they're making over $50 an hour.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's not just the trades that we think of. It's not just plumbing, electrical. It's stuff like you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, landscaping. It's like work.
Yeah,
you need people to do work.
Working with your hands. Yeah.
Yes, and it is all over the place. But some obviously need more training.
Right.
Than others,
It's interesting. You listen to Mike Rowe talk, and he's like, it's one of the modern miracles that you press a button and the poo goes away, and that's a recent development, and we need people like you don't understand all the infrastructure and the blue collar workers that go into making that simple thing happen. That has really actually revolutionized societies.
Yeah. And Dan. So we should stay in touch with Dan and just keep talking about how that program is going in St. Charles. And honestly, my hope is that the more we talk about these things, because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
That not just St. Charles would be involved, but other communities in the area start to build these things up.
Yeah, I think one of the problems that trades face is there is a stigma surrounding it.
I think that's changing, though.
Yeah, I do too. I think it really is. And actually, I'm talking to more and more young people that are coming through the youth group that are actually looking at trade jobs. They're like, oh no, you can make good money doing that. And one of my good friends, and he also helps him with the youth group. He works in HVAC. And he makes good money, supports his entire family. He's the only one that works, has a good job. I mean, he doesn't like when he's on call, but outside of that, he likes his job. He's a good guy, treats people well. And like the kids are seeing, these are what these people are, just, lunch pail and hard hat guys. And we actually like that.
Good stuff. Dan Fitter, thanks for your time. If you're still listening, I appreciate you. We'll talk more with Dan, I'm sure, as time goes on and we keep up with things. Brad is going to do Wiggins America next. What's the topic again?
The CIA knows where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Oh, so if that's not enough of a tease for you, the CIA knows where the Ark of the Covenant is. And Brad's got the full report coming up next on Wiggins America.
I'll take it in, but don't look down. I'm on top of the world.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Find out why Renewal by Andersen has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1924. rbastl.com or 314-332-1924.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
Well, I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but today's YouTube live chat poll, we want to know, will America ever have a balanced budget again? And it's just a simple yes or no question, but we want to know why you vote the way you vote. So what we're going to ask you to do is jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, and subscribe, jump in the chat, tell us why you voted the way you voted, and vote in the poll. Will we ever have a balanced budget again? Yes or no? The time is 12:49. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Foley Foundation works tirelessly to bring American hostages home. Kim St. here. We're raising awareness about the Foley Foundation's mission to reunite families, hold captors accountable, and prevent future hostage taking. Visit 971talk.com/events to learn more.
I'm feeling like a star, you can't stop my shine. I'm flying cloud nine, my head.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
And everything gets shuffled around when it's the Mannie Frey Show. I kind of move into Annie's seat, and then everybody moves around, and that means that I'm not doing Wiggins America. Brad Range is doing Wiggins.
Wiggins! All right. So I don't know how this is going to go because I got to follow in Ethan's footsteps after yesterday. And
Hey, here's the thing. You're going to do great. I have no concerns. My morning started off with reading a text from you, Brad, that said, hey, I got Wiggins America covered today. You had actually sent me multiple texts. Yeah. And I quite literally only responded to that one. And I responded with, bless you.
So I've been sitting on this story for a little while, but some recently declassified CIA documents say that the CIA found the Ark of the Covenant by using psychics.
Wait. When did this happen? This wasn't recent, was it?
So the documents are recently declassified,
yes.
But this happened in the 80s.
What is their confidence that this is real, though?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So the project is called Project Sunstreak, and individuals known as quote unquote remote viewers were presented with a task, and they're basically a type of clairvoyant who claim they could project their consciousness to receive information about faraway objects. So the CIA is like, well, maybe it works. We can look into this and try it.
So my question about astral projection, as usual, is the same. When you leave your body through astral projection, which I do not recommend, can you see through walls? Because it seems like you just go up and then you'd be able to look down, but you wouldn't be able to see.
Well, listening to this, it sounds like these remote viewers were able to travel to the location and describe what they were seeing. So they had a target object and they would go to where they would project to where the target object is.
You got to have pretty good aim.
Yeah.
Especially that far away.
Yeah. So in a remote viewing session on December 5th of 1988, remote viewer number 32 was tasked with identifying the coveted Ark, according to the documents. So they said, you've got to find the Ark of the Covenant.
This is in the midst of Indiana Jones era, so.
Yes, 1988 would have been right around that time. Raiders of the Lost Ark. They allegedly did not know the object they were being tasked to find. And
it was a blind. It was a placebo.
Apparently,
find something.
Yeah, and the psychic described a location in the Middle East they claimed housed the object and said it was being protected by entities. So there are entities protecting it. The target is a container. A container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. And they said allegedly, not knowing that they were trying to find the Ark, similar in shape to a coffin and is decorated with seraphim. So if you're familiar with the Ark, there's seraphim on the top.
But we all know that.
They drew a picture of it. And if you're watching on the chat, I'll hold that up to the screen
Bible.
So you can see. Yeah,
it's not like
in the Bible.
It's not like they're going, oh, I think I discovered something. You can go read it.
Yeah. So the declassified document shows several pages of drawings depicting one of four seraphim standing on the corners of the Ark, all along with drawings of mummies lined up along the wall. So it's in the spot in the Middle East with mummies.
Did they? Okay, I'll let you finish.
No, go for it. Ask your question.
Did they do anything with it, or did they leave it there, or where is it now?
Well,
according to them,
it's still there wherever this location is.
Okay.
Visuals surrounding the building indicated the presence of mosque domes. They added, and they said the object was hidden underground in dark, wet conditions. Now, when they reached out to the CIA, so they said the target is protected by entities that can only be opened by those who are authorized to do so, and this container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. So these entities will stop you from opening the container. Joe McGonigal, I think I'm saying that right.
Joe.
McMoneagle. Sorry, he's a U.S. Army Chief Warrant Officer.
McMoneagle
somehow got worse.
McMoneagle. McMoneagle. A U.S. Army chief warrant officer and the first person to do remote viewing for the CIA told the New York Post that they allegedly do not know what was scrawled down and they are guided through the process by another person.
Okay, question. Why do we care about this? Is there any factual basis to any of this?
So he doesn't believe that there is any factual basis to this. He said it's not worth the paper it's written on, claiming the session is bogus.
So all this talk that I've seen too online that the CIA knows where it is.
Yeah,
it's just based on this.
A psychic said he saw it someplace in a vision.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
And the CIA actually did something with that?
Why is the CIA study?
I mean, if it works, then you can figure out where hidden documents are.
How do you even find if it worked? It's the Ark of the Covenant.
I think you have to go and find it.
But they never did that.
No.
So they didn't follow up.
No. Well, they just knew it was
this
in the Middle East.
This reminds me. I'll tell you what. We had somebody when I was on the Dave Glover show several years ago. You know, they did a lot of supernatural stuff. They had somebody come on who was supposed to be, I don't know what you'd call her, psychic or reading or something. And obviously, I'm a Christian. I don't want to deal with that stuff. I don't want to be around it. I don't want anything to do with it because you don't know what you're inviting in. So I was like, I was a little skeptical of it, but I'm like, look. If you want to do your thing, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm just not going to participate. And so she sent me back, I don't know, again, like what she said she was, psychic or something.
Yeah.
She sent me back this report about me, like, this is what I'm getting about you. And I'm like, I'll read it. So I read it, and it was like, I see that you have kind of like a tightness right here, like kind of in your chest. Do you have trouble breathing? And I'm like, yes, but I've said 15 times on the show that I have cystic fibrosis. So of course, you're going to know that. And it was all stuff that I had already said on the show. And it was like, but presented in this way, like, oh, I see it has entities on it. Could it be that they have wings? Are they seraphim? Like, it was like
1988. Somebody needs to figure out when did the Raiders of the Lost Ark come out.
And so it was, I think it was early 80s, but it was this kind of stuff that it bothers me because
81.
There are people who genuinely are tapping into things that you're like, I don't want anything to do with that. And there are a lot of bogus people. And there's probably a mixture in between.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what to do with this thing.
A, don't play games with it. And B, some of these people are just ripping other people off. Yes. Especially the ones that go on and say, it's like, I'm getting a message from your mother. They're just playing on people's emotions. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the report, I think.
It was fun, right?
It was fun. That's a good Wiggins America.
What was that guy's last name again? What was it
McMont Eagle.
Yeah, McMont Eagle.
Sorry, man.
Was he the psychic or he was the CIA?
He was the person in charge of the
program. Oh, then I'm not sorry.
Yeah, he kind of failed in follow through. All right, stick around. Jim Carafano coming up next.
Is it time to call Air Comfort Service? If it is, 314-513-0091. If you don't have air conditioning in your schedule here for the week, maybe you're going to need them in the future. You never know when an emergency is going to arise. So it's good to have this number saved in your phone so that when you do need to make that phone call for yourself, maybe if you have some properties that have HVAC units in it that you're thinking, I wonder how long we're going to get away with this unit. You want to make sure that you have the very best right there at the end of a phone call. And that's Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091. 2025 has brought some changes to the HVAC industry and equipment, and Air Comfort Service is ahead of the game for you. With a new federal government regulation for the type of refrigerant used in HVAC equipment, Air Comfort Service has prepped to make sure that you don't have to eat those extra costs. They're going to be going up by about 20%. Air Comfort Service stocked up on 2024 equipment, and they are giving you 2024 pricing. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Men, are you just not feeling it? Could be your testosterone. U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peter's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. Check out the testimonials at usmensmedicalcenter.com. Patients are excited about feeling great, having energy, improved libido. Plus, they love the staff and the fact that they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Spring's coming. Enjoy it. Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333. usmensmedicalcenter.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Triton Exteriors. Not sure if you've noticed, but the storms seem to be especially bad this spring. If you had James Hardy Smart Siding, you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not going to be damaged like in the 314-day storm. So we do roofing, siding, gutters, fences. We're always going to be the middle bid. We're never going to cut corners. We're never going to take advantage of you. Call 314-717-1159 or Triton-STL.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Rooting out MS-13. I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News. Deportation efforts begin against the alleged East Coast leader of MS-13 arrested in Virginia. Fox's Jeff Manasso.
A federal judge grants the Justice Department's motion to dismiss charges against Henry Villatoros Santos, who was arrested on weapons charges last month in Virginia. Charges the Department of Justice moved to drop to expedite the deportation process for the El Salvador native that they call a top leader of the MS-13 terror group, who was living in the U.S. illegally. The judge's order paused until Friday, giving the defense a chance to explore other options. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
And after many lingering questions, we're about to learn more about the would-be assassin Ryan Root, who tried to take out then-candidate Donald Trump on the golf course last summer. Fox's Dana Marie McNichol in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Today's hearing will most likely focus on the gun found at the scene. Ruth's attorneys, they're hoping this could prove his innocence, while prosecutors are laying out new information to show Ruth's intent to kill President Trump. In court documents, the government laid out a long list of evidence they want admitted into the trial. This includes encrypted messages that shows Ruth allegedly tried to purchase a rocket-propelled grenade or an anti-aircraft missile from an associate he believed to be a Ukrainian with access to military weapons. Now, Ruth allegedly asked this associate to, quote, send me an RPG or Stinger, and I will see what we can do. Trump is not good for Ukraine, end quote.
And a man in Georgia facing federal charges that he threatened to kill Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and her husband, and that America will burn. Ali Akbar Mohammed Amin allegedly sent the threatening texts from March 29th to April 1st, with more threats on his social media. America's listening to Fox News.
Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk, my sponsor, my wireless company, has a better offer. The brand new free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan for $35 a month. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 15 gigs of data, all on America's most dependable 5G network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk for your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan. Pure Talk, wireless by Americans for Americans.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Going to keep it a little bit on the windy side going through our Tuesday afternoon, but there's lots of sunshine out there. 63, kind of cold overnight tonight with clear skies. 42 Wednesday, sunshine. Try to warm it up to about 68 Wednesday afternoon. Periods of rain showers and a couple of spot thunderstorms Thursday. 73, unsettled Friday, Saturday, and again on Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's bagel loan time, probably for you and for a lot of other people who are watching those mortgage rates dip. If you have purchased a home in the last 3 years, call my friend Stewie at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Stewie's going to walk you through how a bagel loan works. And essentially what you can do is, especially if you've had a mortgage purchase in the last 3 years, if the mortgage rate that you qualify for right now is lower, he's going to help you refinance with a bagel loan, which means you pay no closing costs. This is a very, very good option for you to lower that big monthly obligation you have and that mortgage payment. Kenny reached out to us on the YouTube live chat the other day and said that Stewie helped him get his mortgage rate down a full point, and that equated to $300 back in his pocket every month. 314-324-4440. Call or text 314-324-4440 and talk to Stewie about a bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
As Passover begins, I want to share a bit about this meaningful Jewish holiday, especially for those of you who may have friends, neighbors, or coworkers observing it. Hello, I'm Danny Cohn, the new CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. Passover tells the story of Moses and the Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom in ancient Egypt. It is a time for family, reflection, and honoring traditions passed down through the generations. You might notice some of us eating different kinds of food, including matzah, a flat, unleavened cracker, and skipping bread this week. It's part of remembering the urgency of our ancestors' escape and journey towards receiving the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. Many families gather for a Seder, a special meal filled with symbolism and questions that spark conversation and learning. No matter what you celebrate this season, appreciating each other's cultures and traditions helps us build a more connected, compassionate St. Louis. So, from our Jewish community to yours, Happy Easter, Ramadan Mubarak, and Chag Pesach Sameach. Happy Passover.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
The news is fast. Listening to your favorite show at 1.5 speed is even faster. Download the podcast of your favorite 97.1 show. Upload it to the Odyssey app every day. All for your listening convenience.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh yeah, this is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Can't have nuclear weapons. And I think they're tapping us along because we're so used to dealing with stupid people in this country. And I had Iran perfect. You had no attacks. You would have never had October 7th in Israel, the attack by Hamas, because Iran was broke. They were stone cold broke when I was president. And I don't want to do that. I want them to be a rich, great nation. The only thing is one thing, simple. It's really simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And they got to go fast because they're fairly close to having one. And they're not going to have one. And if we have to do something very harsh, we'll do it. And I'm not doing it for us. I'm doing it for the world. And these are radicalized people, and they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
We talk about the speed of the Trump administration, this first 100 days, which we're still in barely. I don't think we got too much longer before we get outside that first 100. But it is amazing, not just the speed with which they're working, it is the number of things they're working on.
Yeah.
General Keith Kellogg was on this show, and I think I pulled a clip of him saying that very thing for a promo.
Yeah.
That he said, look, it's that they're dealing with, I guess President Trump in particular, is dealing with so many different issues at once, domestically, internationally. He's not deciding, okay, I think I'm gonna try to solve the war in Ukraine. He's saying, I think I'm going to try to solve the war in Ukraine with Russia. I think I'm going to try to solve the war in the Middle East with Hamas and Israel. And I think we're also going to start pressuring Iran. And I think we're also going to start pressuring the Panama for the Panama Canal. And I think we're going to go after every nation in the entire world with tariffs. Like, it is shocking. And really, that's the one thing I think right now that people and markets are nervous about.
Yeah.
Because it's human nature to react when there's big, sudden change. And usually that reaction is negative. It's, no. It always has been. And in fact, it's shown up in voting patterns. If you've ever noticed, guess what happened right after Barack Obama got into office? Sweeping mandate, big win for Barack Obama over John McCain. He gets into office and he goes, wow, we've got, and they barely had it, a super majority. If you call it, is it 60 as a super majority or 66? I don't remember
It's
which.
a veto proof.
It's a veto proof, filibuster proof majority. And so they had that in 2009. And they're like, gosh, this is a dream come true. We're going to go hope and change on everybody. And they immediately passed Obamacare, and the nation went, nope. We do not like all this change, even though we just voted for change.
The rise of the Tea Party.
The rise of the Tea Party. And guess what happened in Massachusetts? You had Kennedy die, the senator, and they elected a Republican, Scott Brown, who ran on just ending Obamacare.
Yeah.
That's all he ran on. And Massachusetts said, yeah, we'll go for the Republican, because people just don't like big, sudden change. The same thing happened in 2000. I hope I'm getting the right year here. 2022, when Roe versus Wade was overturned. It was about 3 or 4 months before the midterms. President Biden, by 2022, was so far underwater that I'm not sure anybody's been more unpopular at that point in a presidency. The only one that was close would have been Donald Trump in term number 1. But I think Biden was actually lower in approval rating even than Trump at that time. And so it should have been this massive 2010 style rebuke of the Biden era. But people get nervous with change. And so the Roe versus Wade thing happened, and it was a big change for this country, or at least it was supposed to be. And so that saved them from having this massive red wave is probably what happened. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you look back and you're talking, you started this off by talking about Obamacare and how Obamacare was passed and everybody freaked out about it. But now that nobody likes Obamacare, but nobody wants to vote against Obamacare anymore.
It's just sort of there now.
Because people are like,
change.
well, it's terrible, but I am afraid of the unknown. Like, what's the other side of this? And I know like the criticism of the Republican Party is like, well, what's their answer to Obamacare? Make it go away and go back to what it was. And people are afraid of that because now they don't remember what it was before.
Yeah, it's just gotten more and more expensive.
Yeah. And, I mean, again, that's why it's still important. And I think it's important that the Trump administration is doing what they're doing. Go in there, make these big changes, get them codified into law so that whenever it comes time for Democrats, if they win, to change things, the people will be like, I don't like change. Don't change this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to point out the approval ratings. This should be a moment in time where everybody in the country is going, this is too much change. This is too much happening at once. Everybody's getting nervous. But the approval rating for Trump is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
It may have dropped a point or two, but overall, it's pretty much the same as when he was elected. Now, we're still within the first 100 days. So that could change, but it's really amazing how fast and furious he has gone after all this stuff. No reference to Fast and Furious on purpose there. But it's really remarkable that people are still going, yes, this is what we voted for. Yes, this really is what we wanted to happen, was all this at once.
Right. And this all happening at once is adding to what the chaos that people are perceiving. They have trouble seeing that there's a plan. But that's just because there's so many things that are in the works that we don't have a resolved issue to. And then the opposition is just screaming, yelling, and pulling their hair out, saying, look, they're trying to do all these other things. Well, it's hard to argue against that if you don't see what the whole plan is. But just the mere fact that they're doing everything all at once muddies that water.
And this is what the market is seeing too. This is part of what it's not just, oh my gosh, tariffs. Because if you were just, oh my gosh, tariffs, you would have been watching this the whole time. In fact, there were a lot of people that were watching this the whole time. And so they're not freaking out because tariffs. They're freaking out because, everything
change.
There's so much happening. I mean, that part of that really is the human psyche. We just walked through a couple of great examples of when this has happened in recent American history that, again, if you have Massachusetts that elects a Republican senator, it's not because they become conservative.
Right.
It's because big change scares people. And so we're right in the midst of this. We said we were going to talk to Jim Carafano this hour. I don't know whether we'll connect with him right now. We're trying, or that'll be later. But I had an article that I brought up, and we'll talk about the Iran stuff too, which we opened with here. I had an article that I brought just because it's something you don't see a lot of. And this is from the Telegraph in Britain. Now, the Telegraph, as far as I understand, this is an American newspaper, so I don't follow it quite as closely. But this isn't a right-leaning organization. Okay. I don't get the sense that they're super far left. Daily Mail's another one.
Yeah.
They're kind of tabloidy, and tabloids, oddly, will just do anything.
Yeah.
So they're not really right-leaning or left-leaning. They just grab stuff because it gets clicks. Telegraph isn't quite Daily Mail. They're a little bit more of a real news source, but they have that air, that kind of like British, you don't really know what the BBC is going after here kind of thing, where it's not American right, it's not American left. So I say that because this article really shocked me to see that the Telegraph was reporting on this. They follow a journalist in Sweden. And this is stuff that, like, for instance, the really genocide almost that's happening in South Africa right now was not something that people were talking about until just recently. But there have been racial motivated killings of white people in South Africa now for over a decade. And the government there continues to kind of turn a blind eye. It's like they want credit for saying, no, everybody's equal, but not really doing much about it. And so now that Elon Musk, he's from South Africa, he's obviously in a prominent position in America and in the government. Now this is getting a lot more attention. This is a similar type of story. Not the same, but just a similar type of story of something that's happening in Sweden that isn't really getting a lot of attention. And so when you see it, you go, whoa, that's crazy, because I've always heard that Sweden has the highest standard of living in the world, and all these stats about, oh yeah, you want the Swedish or the Norwegian lifestyle.
Well, that's what they say, but they're becoming less and less, what is the word, homogenous?
That's exactly what this article is talking about. So gang crime has gotten so out of control in Sweden. You're nodding like you've seen this.
I've
before.
seen.
Have
this,
you really?
On the corners of the internet.
Yeah, it's
people
just kind
complaining about it.
It's just kind of like out there, but nobody's really diving in.
Right.
And so when this article did so, I'm like, dang, this is crazy. Gang crime has become so bad in Sweden that this journalist, Diamant Salihu is his name, has had to do phone messages that are encoded to report on it because he's worried that the gangs are going to target him. At first glance, all of these things that the reporter from the article is talking about this other reporter, he says it looks like it's spam, but then he realizes, oh, this guy's texting me in code to make sure that people aren't picking up on what he's saying. There are murder gangs for hire now in Sweden, and it's becoming such a huge problem. And there's such large sums of money to be earned that they're realizing that the gangs themselves are not even necessarily the ones leading it. They're responding to it. So somebody is paying gangs to assassinate people in Sweden. And there's no real rhyme or reason. I don't know the politics of Sweden well enough to say, oh, this is the people that they're targeting. It's just out of control because it's gotten so bad that online now you can go see some of the same kind of code stuff that's written, and they're actually murder ads posted online by gang leaders offering bounties to anyone willing to carry out the hits. And I guess whoever's paying for this, including the gang leaders, are recruiting mostly children in Sweden. So you're talking about now, this isn't just a problem that we talk about like in third world countries where you have gangs that are just awful recruiting little kids. This is happening in Sweden because the money is so good. You're talking about close to six figures for one kill, that age doesn't matter, is the quote, explaining why many of Sweden's new contract killers aren't hardened hitmen, but children. Part of the problem, many say, is that Swedish law dictates anyone aged under 15 is too young to be prosecuted. You can't even prosecute them.
Yeah.
So it's like they get this free pass if you're 14 years old or under to just go commit murder, and you can't be prosecuted.
Well, yeah, you murder somebody, you get 6 figures for the murder, and there's no negative consequences for you.
Unbelievable.
Legally speaking, that
Legal, yeah, right. Not eternally. Quote here, we have so many child soldiers that nobody can count anymore, says this journalist, an investigative reporter for SVT, Sweden's answer to the BBC. There are kids as young as 13 that are being arrested. Now here's that they're acknowledging this problem, but they're not acknowledging where the problem is, how it's allowed to fester, because they say it's not necessarily Swedish kids that are doing this. It's immigrants. It's immigrants that are joining gangs and realizing, oh, I don't have to be poor anymore. I can just go commit murder and I'm off scot-free.
I'm set.
And really the big picture of this article is how the title of it is how Sweden's multicultural dream went fatally wrong. For this story, this journalist has pursued for the last decade one giant unsolved murder mystery. Why has Sweden, long the envy of the rest of Europe, and I would say world, for its peace and prosperity, just like we were saying, suddenly seeing so many gangland killings? Why in a land that prides itself on welcoming migrants are so many gang members from migrant communities? And is it Swedish society that is ultimately the culprit, or is it the migrant communities themselves? So they're walking right up to the doorstep and asking the question, but not quite answering the question. And here's the problem. Because we want to be so mindful and sensitive, we won't address real problems anymore. To say that you can just import an entire culture of people and just say, you exist. The coexist thing, it just doesn't work. You either have to do one of two things. You have to bring this culture in, and then you adapt to the culture, which in this case would be terrible because that culture is murderous. Or you have to bring them in and then they adapt to your culture. There are no other options. It has to be one of those two. And what we're doing in the West generally, although there's a lot more pushback in America, what we're doing in the West and Western Europe is they're importing entire cultures into their culture, and then they're pretending like you can just coexist. But ultimately what's happening is they are assimilating to the migrant culture instead of vice versa. And you're seeing a lot of weird consequences like this because of it, unfortunately. And it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with culture. You bring in a culture that believes in one thing versus a culture that believes in another, even if it's secular, and they just don't coexist. So it looks like we do have Jim Carafano on the phone. So let's take a short break and we'll try to get back with Jim. We'll talk about where the world is concerning not just Ukraine, not just Russia, but also Iran, the Middle East. We'll catch up with Jim Carafano next.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
It was a nightmare. We felt stuck.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy, and unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you that were misled into buying a timeshare. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-314-2233. 800-314-2233. 800-314-2233.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save now with 2024 pricing and Carrier Cool Cash rebates up to $1,700 on a new HVAC system. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Tuesday afternoon, Mark Reardon returns after a long birthday weekend. Plenty to discuss, including Kara Spencer's first day as St. Louis mayor, the Blues playing their biggest game of the season tonight, and much more.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
Nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. Couldn't goodness gracious, great ball of fire.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Honey, you came along
I
and
just
moved.
wish we lived in a country where the media gave to 1/10 a damn as much about Americans who were murdered and brutalized and savagely killed, beaten to death, as they did about whether illegal aliens that we all agree are illegal aliens should get 1 million days in court and 1 million trials and 1 million this and 1 million that. There's 15 million illegal aliens that violently enter the country. If every one of them got the trial that you're asking for, it would take us centuries to remove them. Centuries. We'd be talking about this in 300-400 years. Their great-great-great-grandchildren would be the ones representing them in court. That's how long it would take. Illegal aliens who come to our country have to be removed, and they have to be removed quickly. That is an essential component of having something that we like to call a country.
And we like to call this the Mannie Frey Show. Annie is out today. Ryan and Brad in studio. Jim Carafano on the phone. Jim, thanks for being here.
Okay, it takes 2 men to replace one Annie Frey. That sounds about right.
Well, I mean, if you want to say it that way, that will end up being the promo. But let's say this, Annie leaves, and then we didn't even replace her. It's really just us, and we're already on the show. I like it to look at it that way.
Well, that's true too.
At least I got that concession. Jim, we were talking.
You absolutely did. Yeah. Good.
Well, we were talking about immigration in the last segment, and I figured we'd open on that with you. The border, the Trump administration out there touting that the border is as secure as it's ever been. Is that actually the case?
No, it's a lie. It's actually more secure than actually it's ever been. Trump has done things that even Trump never did before. Actually, for example, creating a buffer zone on the Indian land, which was a super highway for the cartels to bring stuff in. Before what would happen is the cartels basically would walk into the Indian reservation territory because it was very poorly controlled, but you had to leave the Indian reservation territory. So there were so many exit points off the reservation. And so the Border Patrol guys would hang around like buzzards at these exit points, trying to snare these guys before they left. But taking this avenue away from the cartels is really huge. So I think between the enforcement and the stuff they've done at the border, this is unprecedented border security. Honestly, this is better than Pershing writing Chase and Pancho Villa in the Mexican War. This is the most secure this border's ever been.
Jim, is it both borders? Is it just Mexico? I mean, it seems like Canada is a much bigger border, harder to patrol.
It is, but it's a different set of problems and a different set of challenges. You don't want or need to do the things on the Canadian border that you do on the southern border. A lot of this stuff on the Canadian border, you're particularly worried about is transnational criminal activity, and that's really about going after the networks. You've got the fentanyl factories and other things up north, and you need the Canadians to really help you out there. That's an unbelievably, and it's a tougher border to cross in many places too. It's not a forgiving. The terrain's not very forgiving, and so it's a different problem, but the mass migration problem is a southern border problem. And what's important about this, and what's so important about Donald Trump becoming president is, we always think of, these people come from Latin America. Well, the reality is that the huge demographic bulge in the Latin American population is actually on the decline, and the masses of people that we were starting to see at the border were not from Latin America. They were from Africa. They were from the Middle East. They were from Asia and China, because these are the places where the demographics are still climbing, and people were essentially signing up for a tourist agent, and you would book your illegal entry in the United States through places like Venezuela. And if these networks had, like the Darien Gap and everything, essentially had become cemented in concrete, which is where we were headed, we would well have been onto course within a decade or so, where the people who are legally in the United States would have been in the minority in this country. And what Trump did is he cracked those things before they essentially rooted in. And it is really an amazing accomplishment.
In February and March, probably the early part of March, we were talking a lot about Trump using the tariffs to get Mexico and Canada to respond specifically to immigration and fentanyl. We're not talking about that as much anymore. Is that because that worked?
I actually, when they write the history of this, I wonder if he will say, well, you know what? That worked pretty well. Let's see what we can do globally to twist people's arm, because it's very clear that the tariff battle has emerged into really an instrument to realign the global economic structure to compete with China. I think that's where we're headed. I think everybody, ironically, I think everybody's going to be better off when we do this, except China.
Everybody in the world, even the people that we're putting hard tariffs on?
Well, because in the end, nobody really first of all, it's not about the Chinese and the Iranians, because they're so sanctioned. There's almost no trade with those guys anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But in the rest of the world, it's nobody really wants a trade war with the United States. So I doubt we're going to go into this really escalatory tariff competition with anybody, and we might wind up with, okay, we can't cut a deal, and then what we'll probably settle for is just reciprocal tariffs. You tariff our stuff, tariff your stuff, which I actually think is kind of what we do anyway in the world. So that's actually not remarkably new, but this really kind of forcing the world to make some hard thoughts and choices about doing business with the Chinese. And I think the reality is look, we're seeing this. When you look at the scale of the investments that are moving to the United States, when you look at companies strategically repositioning stuff out of China, now I think in fairness, we're all doing something we were starting to do anyway, which is recognizing the risks of doing business in China and being dependent on China. I remember a guy the other day says, "This is stupid. You should just buy. Why is America worried about this? Just buy stuff from the cheapest supplier." I said, "Well, if that was true, like during the Cold War, we would have bought cars from the Russians." I mean, that doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, geopolitics matter, and so who you trade with, it has costs and risks that are just as significant as the price tag you see on the goods in the Walmart.
Jim, I'm glad you brought up China and this part of this, because we talk about the tariffs all the time. I mean, that's the top news story really just about every day right now. But we usually talk about it from the financial angle. We're talking about what's this going to do to this industry and how is this country going to respond.
Right.
We don't talk about it from the national security standpoint, which very much is part of this conversation, especially with China. But I guess my question for you is, when I watch this and I think about, well, how's China going to respond? What I'm asking is not how are they going to respond financially. It's how are they going to respond psychologically? What are they going to try to do to us overall? Because they just don't want to lose power.
So typically what the Chinese, it's a great question, by the way. There's an old saying that the enemy gets a vote. And people who think that, you just impose your will on the other guy and he just accepts what you do, that is hardly ever the case. So the Chinese are very flexible and adaptive. And we see this all the time. Like you heard about wolf warrior diplomacy, where they come in and threaten everybody. And then you hear about, they come in and they play like, oh, I'm just a nice guy. What do you, or they just bribe people and stuff. And so the Chinese will try different ways to find the gaps and seams and weaknesses that they can exploit. If what they're doing isn't working, one is they're not going to stop trying because they can't, right? They set up a system, and like the mafia, they just have to perpetuate that system. They have less resources to do this with because their economy is not growing at the robust rate it is, and it is still highly dependent on trade with the United States. 40% of their economy is trade. If you take the U.S. off the table as a trading partner, the rest of the world cannot absorb that trade. That is a death knell for the economy. So they've got some limitations, and the Chinese still believe that the ancient idea is you want to win without fighting. The last thing you want to do is waste your power beating your head against an enemy. So you really don't want to invade Taiwan if you don't have to. You really don't want to have a war with the United States if you don't have to. And so the answer is you look for every other kind of weakness and stuff you can exploit, which is what, why they don't want to let go of things like TikTok, why they try to bribe people right and left, why they try to take over international organizations and use that to express their will. So the Chinese are not going to stop being our enemy if Trump, hits a double in the trade war. And they have to be prepared for that. Hardly ever, in the movies, you win a war and the movie's over. You read a book, the war's at the end of the chapter. In real life, those things hardly ever stop. I mean, enemies are like the Terminator. I mean, if they can still survive and fight, they're going to try to find ways to do that.
Jim Carafano is Senior Counselor to the President and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. Drawing from your expertise on these things, Jim, what does an end to this look like? I mean, you just kind of answered that and saying, well, maybe there's not a just hard end to the chapter and then we move on. But, at what point do you go, okay, this was successful for the U.S. or, hey, China actually did kind of come to the table here? I mean, what happens next, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, I mean, one is you have a diminished China, which will probably reset, and that could be a change in leadership with a younger, more aggressive leadership. It could implode and fall apart. It could redirect its efforts elsewhere. So, for example, if you have a weakened China and a weakened Russia, one avenue is just China goes after Russia. Lots of land, lots of resources, a very weak enemy. The United States isn't going to fight to defend Russia from China. So, the enemy gets a choice or a vote. And so the other thing about autocratic regimes is you can never really tell how vulnerable they are. And this is why they often are so obsessive about trying to control, because they don't know when they're really at risk of losing control. And the Chinese system could collapse. I don't think you can count on that. So what you do when you're a strategist is a lot of people want to plan for the end state they want, or the one they would like, or the one they expect. Which the best strategies are ones that it doesn't matter what the outcome is, you're still ahead of the game. And that's what I think Trump is fundamentally setting us up for. Peace through strength, which means you can defend yourself, which, by the way, absolutely, totally, 100% in every theater in the Middle East, in Europe, in Indo-Pacific requires America to have strong friends and allies, which is why Trump beats the hell out of our allies to do more. And a strong, robust economy, and a vibrant democracy that people have trust and confidence in, that is like the best situation to be in to face no matter what the outcome that the enemy throws at you.
Jim, you mentioned Russia. I'm kind of following your lead here. You mentioned Russia being in a weakened state now. I've never really heard anybody say what you just said, that, yeah, China might even, go to flex their muscles over there a little bit. But right now, we're talking about trying to end this war in Ukraine. They're dragging their feet, but they're in this weakened state. I mean, how much longer can they go?
So I posit three scenarios. One is, it's in the Russians' nature when they negotiate to want something for nothing and to push to get as much as they can before they do a deal. So Putin just may realize that tomorrow that, okay, this is all I can get and I'm going to cut a deal, because they need a strategic pause as much as the Ukrainians. Neither one of them can really win this war. So that's one thing. And I don't think we should be surprised at that Putin just stands up and says, okay, you can have a deal. Forget what I said, mobilizing 160,000 people. Forget it. We're just do a deal. But you can't count on that. So the other thing is, Putin says, oh, you know what? I'm going to fight for another year, because as weakened as they are, they can fight for another year. And then what does Trump do? One is he just says, oh, well, screw you guys. I'm just going to walk away. Right? I don't have anything to do with it. I think that's unlikely, because if things go south in Europe, Trump will be blamed on that. He can't afford a huge foreign policy reversal right now as he's trying to drive the economy and everything else. The other thing is we just continue to support the Ukraine, which is becoming less and less of a lift every day. 3 years ago, they had a $1 billion defense industry. Today, they have a $15 billion defense industry. The Europeans every day, because Trump is actually they think they're scared Trump's going to run away. They keep actually supporting Ukraine more. So the burden of supporting Ukraine is shifting more and more to the Europeans. The Ukrainians have more and more figured out how to stay in the fight. So honestly, it's easier and easier for Trump to support Ukraine. And I think we have to parse his disdain for Zelensky, which is palatable. I mean, the U.S. has done everything for this, and Zelensky kind of whines like a spoiled child, and he keeps, but essentially attacking Donald Trump, who's actually the leader you need to make your country survive. I think I'd be annoyed if I was President Trump, but I don't think Trump's going to throw Ukraine overboard just because he thinks their leader's a bozo. Nor do I think we're going to replace them because we don't do regime change. But I think continuing to support Ukraine is something that's in the cards, and you got to think Putin's got to know that he does not have a strong hand. When Trump said to Zelensky, "You don't have the cards here," he was right, but he's also told that to Putin, "You don't have the cards to play." The only guy that really has cards on the table is Donald Trump.
Yeah, and it's these autocratic regimes. It's like you said, it's like all they're interested in is saving face. If they can just say they won. And Trump knows this. He's trying to figure out, well, how do I allow you to say that you won while also getting nothing? Am I wrong there?
Well, yeah, but in a sense, because in an autocratic regime, you can always say you won. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess
right?
so.
So what you never do is like, oh, let you save face, right? Because you don't need that. You're going to save face anyway. You're just going to tell people you won.
Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So the last thing you should ever do is give somebody like Putin something for nothing, because that just makes them greedy and it makes them think you're weak and they can get more. So being nice to these guys, it doesn't do you anything. And the problem is all we hear about is these stupid articles, and we get snippets of this, and then Trump says something. And you know what it reminds me of is like somebody that sits down in a ball game and after the first pitch says, "Okay, who's going to win?" It's a negotiation. We don't know what's going on behind doors. We don't know everything that in Trump's strategy. We don't know how this is going to turn out. And so these, armchair strategists and that are just telling you, "Oh, this is good, this is bad, this is terrible." They don't know, because they're not. The game is not over yet. When the game is over, then we can all say, "Oh, geez, that was good or bad or whatever." But saying that now is kind of stupid.
Jim, let me ask you one final question here, kind of tie the whole thing in a bow, because China has announced that they're gonna start stopping their shipments of rare earth minerals to the United States. There's been big NVIDIA announcement that they're going to start building $500 billion worth of supercomputers all here in Texas, apparently. So that's good news. But if we don't have the rare earth, that kind of affects that too. But then Trump's trying to do a deal for rare earth minerals with Ukraine. Is that what's really keeping us involved there? Or, that's kind of a simplistic question, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's a good idea, because if the United States is engaged in Ukraine, they don't need security guarantees. The Russians aren't going to march in and attack a country where the Americans are there. But rare earths are not rare, and critical minerals are all over the world. You have to mine them, and more importantly, you have to have the reprocessing capability. The Chinese have tied up like 90% of the world's reprocessing capability. And what they do is anytime anybody wants to build a mine or build a processor, the Chinese just cut the price of the commodity, and it makes it financially undoable. What the Chinese are doing, which is really stupid, what they're doing by essentially threatening to cut everybody off is they're forcing you to do, or they're telling you to do what you really should do, which is you cannot trust having these critical supplies from the Chinese. So you have to bite the bullet and make the investments and build your reprocessors and develop your mining resources. And then the Chinese have nothing. Never take a hostage you aren't willing to shoot. Threatening the United States with cutting off critical minerals and world's earth, knowing that the United States can actually find other ways to do that, that's just stupid. What's the word in Chinese for stupid? Call me later and let me know.
Yeah, I don't speak Mandarin. I don't know. Jim Carafano, man, appreciate the insight. It is just great to talk to you. It's never a dull moment. This is a moment in time Jim, I don't know if you agree that I keep thinking people are going to look back on this and say that was a new era. Everything changed in that time.
Yeah, I live for this stuff, man.
Yeah.
If everything was just like, oh, nobody cares, I would have nothing to do.
Right. Well, there's a personal vested interest there.
Yeah. I mean, we just need more forest fires and a couple of plagues, and then I'd be really happy.
Oh my gosh, don't say that. Jim Carafano. Always appreciate your expertise on everything. I know I can just throw anything at you and you're like, oh, well, here's how that works. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All
and
right.
say hi to Annie when she gets back.
I will.
Bye.
That'll be tomorrow. And so thanks for tuning in to the Mannie Frey Show. As Jim just said, Annie will be back tomorrow. Stick around. Something we were talking about, at the end of last hour? The Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah, we were talking the Ark of Covenant and psychics and clairvoyance. And
we got at least one caller who wants to comment on that. And so I don't know what we're going to be talking about next. Stick around and let's find out.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
ArtisticDecks.net. That's the website for you to learn more about how Artistic Decks can help make your dream deck affordable. They are in the business of taking your dream, that idea of sitting out in the backyard, but enjoying that wonderful, cozy space, your extended home into the backyard, sipping lemonade, having a nice cold beer, or maybe just grilling right there on your new, beautiful dream deck. Reach out to them at 314-280-0821, 314-280-0821, and talk to them about free design and consultation on your new dream deck. The envy of the neighborhood, Artistic Decks is going to make sure that you are taken care of from the very start. They even help with all of the permitting process. They handle everything. They are insured. You can ask about their over 500 square foot discount. Artistic Decks is there to make sure that you are taken care of from beginning to end, and they can get you in this summer. 314-280-0821, artisticdecks.net.
This could be the number 1 tax saving strategy for your retirement savings, and it's hidden inside IRS tax code section 1.408A-4. Discover what it is and how you can make your money go further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by advisors from financial and tax architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis, and you'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing Social Security, paying for health care, and more. And they do it for free, but bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a few openings left for classes this month, so register now by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing: not running out of money. And preparing for retirement can sometimes be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Find out how you could build your retirement on your terms. Join host Steve All for the All Financial Hour Saturday mornings at 6 here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, for the people, Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. We call them the doctors because they've treated more than 250 doctors, more than any other practice in St. Louis. So if you're looking for the best doctors for your best vision, it's Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. Doctors Birdie and Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. I had an eye disease when I was younger. It left me with a silicone buckle around my right eye, so I put my trust in Ophthalmology Associates to take care of my annual checkups. Maybe you're experiencing dry eye, allergy eyes. They can help. They can help with cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and LASIK surgeries. And if you're looking for the best eye care, it's Ophthalmology Associates. Make an appointment today by calling 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com. They have a great office location just west of 270 on Manchester Road. Again, the phone number, 314-966-5000. The website, youridoc.com. Ophthalmology Associates.
Celebrate April with store-wide savings on all in-stock jewelry at The Diamond Shop, located at 12 North Central in Clayton. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. Stop in today.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Will America ever have a balanced budget again? We want to know what you think. It was balanced. I think the last time it was balanced was during the Clinton administration with Newt Gingrich as the Speaker of the House, and they got together and they passed a balanced budget. Can we do that again? That's our question today. We want you to jump on Annie's YouTube page, youtube.com/@AnnieFrey, ANNIEFREY. Vote in the poll. Leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted. The time is 1:50. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
I did not pick this music. I tell you that right now.
We blame it on Ethan.
Yeah, thank you. There's an active shooter situation reported. We don't know what that means. It's in Dallas. There's the helicopter shots. They're watching kids being evacuated. We'll report on that if we find out anything else. But we'll be watching it just so let you know. If you want to fight, I'll tell you where to come fight in the YouTube live chat, because we'll talk about things on the show like we're just talking about in this hour with Jim Carafano, and then you guys just go off on something. And the fun part is Brad really loves participating in those. I do. And jumps in there, and it's just I'm sort of watching this while I'm talking to Jim Carafano going, what are you guys doing? Well, if you want to be a part of the discussion.
We're having an in-depth discussion on trade and China and who has the leverage in that situation.
Did you win?
I always win.
Well, at the end of last hour, Brad also did Wiggins America and was talking about this report from the CIA that was declassified, that the CIA in the 1980s, 1988, they were using psychics to seek out the Ark of the Covenant. And now we know about this. And they said in the reports, I guess, that they found the Ark, but then they never did anything about it. So they didn't ever actually go find the Ark.
So we don't know if they actually found it.
So in light of that, I want to thank Michael, because he's been a trooper. He called in right at the end of that segment and has been hanging on the line. We waited. We told him, hey, we gotta do an interview here, but if you want to call back, that'd be great. So in light of that discussion, Michael, what is on your mind, man?
Yeah, I was listening to your last segment. Let me give you a little brief history of me. My wife, I married a psychic. When I met her, I was out for the evening.
You married a psychic, or your wife married a psychic?
No, I married her.
Okay.
So I'm out for the evening. I'm telling you a little history so you trust who I am.
Okay. You only got a couple minutes, so.
Okay. She buys me a beer. I go up and I thank her, and I got to talking to her. I says, what do you do for a living? She says, I work for Creator. I says, well, you're not a nun. She says, I'm a psychic. I never even gave psychic a thought in my whole life. Now I marry her about a year after that. Then she tells me the night we were out, I had taken my ex-wife and her new boyfriend out for the evening because she got a divorce from her second husband. And the psychic, my wife, said, I was weirded because I felt a stronger connection between you and the woman across the table from you, which had a man's arm around her. And I said, that was my ex-wife. To start off with that is, she is a spiritual advisor. They are not, spirituality and religion are separate. They do coincide together. There are carnival psychics, fake psychics, wannabe psychics, and then there's gifted psychics that have the gifts from God. Now, you can believe this or not. I don't care. Now, what I have found out in the past is she doesn't read the future. She sits with you and she sees who you are and feels your energy at the present moment, and she guides you through your next chapter. She'll give you tools and homework. And then when you come back to her, she'll know if you've done that homework. So if you believe in disciples walking the earth, why can't a psychic be a disciple in a sense?
So, Michael, you're saying that she's legit, that she's really got a gift here. She's not a carnival psychic, right?
Absolutely. And I could tell you stories that would hair on the back of your neck.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. But let me ask you this. What do you and what does she say that power comes from? Because you said that this could be a gift from God. So are you saying that she's got this gift from God?
No. Basically, here's what I think. Her mother died when she was 3. Her father was in prison most of her life. She lived on the streets and she slept in graveyards because nobody would go there in the middle of the night. So she learned, she had nobody to tell her that the stove was hot. So she had to learn this herself. She washed herself in a Vickers gas station down in South County to go take herself to school. So she opened up that left part of her brain because she had no options. Now, is that a gift from God? I believe so. She was given that extra perception that we all have, but don't know how to use.
So you're saying this is something that everybody's born with. She's just been able to kind of sharpen it up, but all of us have this thing that we could use.
That is exactly what she says. We all are built in God's image. And her best friend is God. Trust me, her best friend is God.
Boy, Michael, I would have so many more questions for you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I find this topic very, very fascinating. So thank you for hanging on, even though we got to let go. Yeah.
Give me a call.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Gosh, it's just an interesting topic. I would love to delve into it more, and everybody has thoughts. Actually, lots of people calling in. So sorry that we're out of time. We are going to come back in the 2 o'clock hour and have a little fun with Trisha in studio. Stick around.
The Retirement Advisory Group, you can find them at 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. They're there to help you feel calm through all of this chaos going on in the economy right now. If you are nearing retirement, he works especially, Thomas Helbig, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, they work especially with people just like you, folks who know that retirement is right around the corner. You've amassed a nice little nest egg and you want to make sure that it's protected from any sort of crazy market downturns, turns that you might encounter right now while the market is going crazy or in the future. You never know what's going to happen. You want to be insulated from that. And the Retirement Advisory Group can guide you through how to make that a possibility for you. Call and set up a no cost, no obligation conversation with them. And then when you talk to them, you'll learn how you can have a worry-free retirement. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
Hey, Underdog Fantasy just became one of the best places to make entries during the basketball playoffs with their extender promo. With the extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. You start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost and continue boosting each game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boosts. Underdog is a leading place to make all of your sports selections, and now you can play in Missouri. You want to get signed up with your username and a password, of course, and then use the promo code MARKR. I'm going to guide you into that in a second. Millions of fans have won billions making plays on Underdog. Will you be the next? And to play, all you have to do is download and then choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. So you can choose from things like points, assists, and more. Download the Underdog app and sign up with the promo code MARKR to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code MARKR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
I don't know if you heard with them, these energy mandates. Luckily, this year they stopped the continuation of this government mandates, but the new refrigerants did not stop, so that is out. So be careful, buyer beware on what you're purchasing. If you're looking for a new system and just want a common sense approach to picking a system, i.e., are you going to save money? Is your energy bills going down? All the stuff that we've been hearing for about the last 25 years. Bottom line is, when it comes to efficiencies, it's going to be your house. I only have 60 seconds to do this in, so if you want a common sense approach and you are looking at purchasing a system or getting prices on systems, please call me. It's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. 314-293-2600, or on the internet is bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Could U.S. criminals be sent to foreign prisons? I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. President Trump wants to ramp up his use of Central American prisons. He's not only attempting to send more accused foreign gang members abroad, but also some U.S. criminals.
Hundreds of migrants accused of violent crimes or gang membership are being deported to El Salvador and being detained in a notorious gang prison, but sitting alongside the country's president. President Trump says he'd like to go a step further.
If it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem.
The president says the administration is studying the law to see if it's legal for U.S. citizens to be jailed abroad.
And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people. Every bit as bad as the ones coming in.
It's likely any plan to deport American citizens would face legal challenges. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked deportations of immigrants in Colorado, one of the Trump administration's use of the 18th century law known as the Alien Enemies Act. The ACLU made the request on behalf of 2 Venezuelan men. The tit-for-tat continues between the world's 2 largest economies. Boeing, the latest to have its stock value impacted as the trade war escalates. It's the U.S. versus China.
Bloomberg is reporting this morning that China has ordered its airlines to halt deliveries of Boeing jets and all aircraft-related parts, causing shares of the company to drop 4.6% in pre-market trading. That followed the announcement. This order will block about 10 747 MAX airline jets from entering Chinese fleets. China's retaliatory tariff of 125% on American goods made purchases impractical, more than doubling the cost, according to this report. Meantime, Beijing is looking for ways to assist the Chinese airlines that lease the Boeing jets.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. America's listening to Fox News.
Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless. There is a better way. Pure Talk, my sponsor, my wireless company, has a better offer. The brand new free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan for $35 a month. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 15 gigs of data, all on America's most dependable 5G network. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk for your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan. Pure Talk, wireless by Americans for Americans.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Going to keep it a little bit on the windy side going through our Tuesday afternoon, but there's lots of sunshine out there. 63, kind of cold overnight tonight with clear skies. 42 Wednesday, sunshine. Try to warm it up to about 68 Wednesday afternoon. Periods of rain showers and a couple of spot thunderstorms Thursday. 73, unsettled Friday, Saturday, and again on Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
RulerFoods.com is going to help you with Easter dinner. That sounds lovely. I love Easter dinner. You have holiday dinners and, they're all kind of special. Of course, Thanksgiving dinner is a big one. But Easter dinner to me is just one of the special ones. I think it's because it's spring and it's just exciting. You have dinner, you can have it early, then you can go out and play in the yard. If you're looking to feed your family, maybe bringing in some family members for Easter dinner, you got to stop by Ruler Foods to make sure that you're not overpaying for the delicious quality goods and products that you're going to be cooking up for your loved ones. You might expect for a family of 8 that you're going to pay over $50. Not at Ruler Foods. You can get it for less than $40 and still serve all those traditional Easter favorites. Juicy ham, au gratin potatoes, fresh veggies, Hawaiian rolls, plus dessert, all for less than $40 when you shop at Ruler Foods. You can find the Ruler Foods closest to you by visiting them online. Just put your zip code in there. You can also schedule a delivery to have those savings shipped directly to your door. All there online at rulerfoods.com.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Whether you're shaping up a small yard or tackling serious acreage, Steel walk-behind, zero-turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
The Foley Foundation works tirelessly to bring American hostages home. Kim St. here. We're raising awareness about the Foley Foundation's mission to reunite families, hold captors accountable, and prevent future hostage taking. Visit 971talk.com/events to learn more.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Oh yeah, this is the moment you have been waiting for.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom.
Annie's out. Ryan and Brad are in.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
This is the Mannie Frey Show.
What do you think? Pretty good?
It's something.
You're supposed to be encouraging.
Woo! Good job. I appreciate your creativity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's great,
It's
isn't
refreshing.
it? Trisha is in the
Hey,
studio.
everybody.
Ethan is too. It's a very, very full studio because it's 2:00 hour. And we are going to do a little bit that we do on my weekend show sometimes. We're kind of integrating this into the Annie Frey Show called Serious Questions. Now, if you're not familiar with Serious Questions, it sounds a little bit like this.
Serious question.
And that's it. We have the sounder because we all bring a different story to the table, and this is real news that's happening. And then we ask a
serious question
about that story. Trisha is a veteran at this because she's on the Wiggins America show very frequently.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, I
Back
guess
for
actually,
the first time.
Yeah.
In like 6 months.
Very frequently. Not at all.
All
Very
the time.
She doesn't want to be associated with the show.
Once per quarter.
Once per year this year.
So far, it's been once. It's just
a train wreck from the start to the
It
segment.
was last week.
I'm sorry. I should be yes-anding you. You're doing a great job.
No,
Yes,
no.
and.
No, I do want more praise for the open. I'm very proud. Me and Brad we feel like
really
we want to
hard.
high five.
Meeting of the minds. And
Yeah.
Yes, and
yes, and Annie will be back tomorrow.
I'm
folks.
projecting onto Brad.
Are you going to play it for Annie tomorrow?
What's that?
The intro, just for her to have heard it.
What's
Was that a
serious question?
No, it wasn't. This was before the segment starts.
No, we're not going to tell Annie that exists.
Okay, got it. Good to know.
we want to keep
Chat,
playing it.
You hear that now? No sharing any of that info.
All right, Trisha is our special guest. So why don't you start with your first
serious question?
All right. Erasing bad memories could be a reality. In 2004's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Jim Carrey's character undergoes a memory erasing procedure to forget his ex. Now, according to a neurosurgeon at Northwell Staten Island University Hospital, there are 3 cutting-edge methods that can mute or dampen traumatic memories. Patients would have a magnetic coil placed on their scalp, which sends pulses to specific areas of the brain. According to the doc, the theory, still in its early stages, is that targeting certain brain circuits can change how people access their memories.
So this is how they find out that it's a negative memory?
Yes, something to do with the way your brain reacts when these coils are associated. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Let me ask my question.
Go ahead.
Serious question.
Serious question.
If you could erase your memories, certain ones, would you?
Ooh, man. I don't think so. I don't think I would erase memories. You got to deal with it, because my fear would be that you'd erase the memory, but still have the feeling and not know why you have it. Like if there's some trigger that comes up every time you drive past a certain sign, and that was where you lost a loved one or something, you erase the memory and you drive past the sign and you go, oh man, you're really sad every time I see that bird.
Why do I feel that way?
Why would you feel that or have that if you don't have any recollection?
I guess, thank you for that very good
serious question.
Because
Ethan gets it.
Because what you're asking is, are you more than just the sum of your thoughts?
Mhm.
I'm saying this stuff affects your emotions and your soul in a way that's beyond just your thoughts. So you lose the thought, but then you don't lose the reaction to the thought.
Well, and then the other thing is too, you remember reacting negatively to that sign, but then you won't remember why you reacted negatively to that sign, because the memory that you associate with the sign has been removed, but not the emotion that you've associated with the sign.
Sounded like a
Tough
lot
sign.
of words.
Is it possible we've all gone this at some point, and that's why we have deja vu?
That we've all undergone this procedure.
We've all
that
had
this procedure exists and has for years.
for
years.
But they erase the memory of you getting it done.
Yep.
All I see,
The answer is yes.
all that I see in my mind when this happens is like when they
You
wipe
see
out
nothing.
when they wipe when they
You
wipe
feel
out
something, though, 'cause of your
like
soul.
when they wipe out the Winter Soldier's memory, right, in Captain America or in Stranger Things, right, they like basically fry their brains, like electrocute their brains. That's all I see here is it going wrong.
What if, Trisha, what if the person really is sadistic and loves their trauma? Would they be able to target that?
So could they? Well, they might be able to target the happy memories.
But that's what I'm saying.
So
is
then
that-
you only have bad memories.
Well, but that I think what I'm saying is if you're trying to get rid of bad memories, but you're also a sadist, then all of a sudden they go after your bad memories and you're like, but you like all these, so we got nothing to do.
Serious question.
Did that answer it? Did you get the proper answer?
I got it. Yep.
Brad, you want to go next?
Sure. Monsters under the bed. All right. So a babysitter looked under the bed to reassure a worried child that there wasn't a monster hiding under there, because who hasn't been a babysitter and the child says, hey, there's monsters under my bed.
I have not been a babysitter.
Me neither. Anyway, and they came face to face with a man who wasn't supposed to be there.
There's a guy?
It was a guy under the kid's bed, and that's what the monster was that the kid was afraid of. So this this was in Kansas
Well,
too.
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
At least it was in Kansas.
So the 27-year-old man was booked
Ain't
into
no monsters in Missouri or Southern Illinois.
27-year-old man was booked into jail a week after struggling with the babysitter that knocked with a
They got in a
struggle.
fight?
Yeah, they got into a fight and it knocked the kid to the ground. And so the sheriff's office said that the deputies were called late Monday to a home near Great Bend, which is in Kansas on the west side of the state. And the suspect was gone when they arrived. So, serious question.
Serious question.
Are you guys afraid of the dark?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
I realized the other day that I'm not anymore.
Oh, I hate it.
I was walking around the basement. There's no lights. And I stepped on something. I was like, darn it. I hate the dark. Oh, wait. No, I'm not even afraid anymore.
What if it would have been a mouse?
I yelled at it. I not afraid anymore.
Or that raccoon.
Do you
where-
hear me? I'm not afraid anymore. I yell into the dark a lot, though.
You do.
Yeah, like right now.
What kind of?
Nobody's listening.
Jeez, that was
Really, nobody
deep.
is.
That was really deep.
Not even sure we're on anymore.
I'm the only one that answered the question.
Yeah.
I answered it.
Yeah, you did, but
But I don't count.
you don't count as a person.
You gotta ask the question again.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Oh, no. The only time that I get a little bit nervous in the dark is if I just watched a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
That's the only
I'll give
time.
You that. I'll give you
I'm
that.
like,
Well,
I'm gonna walk to my room a little quicker.
I'll tell you what, you guys have never been alone in the woods at night. Because
no, I have. It's
well, you're
terrifying.
afraid of the dark.
Yeah, that was 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have also.
Whole year.
The thing about like Ryan
15
described
for
being in
me.
his basement, not, it's a familiar area. So if it's familiar to me, I'm not afraid of that. But man, I've got intrusive thoughts that creep up when I'm out like in an unfamiliar spot if it's dark, especially like if you're in one of those, like, I don't know how many times you guys go and you're just exploring stuff and it's like this is like old and haunted and there's nothing here.
You're like,
and-
I'm gonna go explore the old cabin way out
Right,
there. It's
right.
almost dusk, so I think I'll be okay.
I grew up playing in the woods, and that stuff still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. So as much as I'd like to say no, I'm not afraid of the dark. Yeah, I there are times when I'm like,
I always
want to get out of here.
rationalize myself out of it because I kid you not.
It's the exact opposite for
I
me.
think yeah, that's what fear is you're not rational. But I think how hard would it be for somebody to break into my house? Then why would they hide in my furnace room waiting for what?
How hard would it be for somebody to break into your house and hide under a bed?
Well, it wouldn't be that hard, I guess.
And it happens because that's what that story says.
It did happen. The only time I get afraid of the dark is when I'm walking through like my basement again, and there's no lights in my basement, or I haven't turned anything on, and I look over in like the darkest corner, and something just starts laughing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that scares
It's
me.
the worst.
And I just usually get out of there pretty quick.
Okay.
Serious question.
That might be a
time.
different
Let it
segment
run
for a
its
different
course.
day.
Mhm.
And then when you see the eyes, just the white, you're like, that's not right.
I don't have a cat.
Well, it was
I'm not afraid anymore.
Ethan, you want to go?
Yeah, sure, why not? So there is a trending story right now involving sports, surprise, surprise, that I bring it up. Yesterday, during the Atlanta Braves Toronto Blue Jays game, the Braves sideline reporter, his name's Wiley Ballard, was drawing a little bit of okay, was drawing a little bit of criticism after he did a hit where he was just straight up interviewing these two attractive girls that's somewhere in the ballpark.
Oh yeah,
and
I saw
the
this.
whole thing became, can he get their numbers? So he has the inner piece, and the broadcasters are saying to him, you have 4 innings to get their number. And he's interviewing these girls, but he starts kind of, hitting on them a little
He's
bit.
hitting them on live TV?
On live
Because
TV.
I saw the report, but I didn't see the actual video.
So he literally says, he's like, hey, they're telling me right now that you need to give me your number.
Are the broadcasters saying it to him
Yes.
on TV?
On TV. And she ends up pulling her phone out and giving him her number, and he stays there. I guess I don't know how long he stayed there, but they went back to it a couple of times later in that inning, and he's still just shooting the bull with these two girls. And you see he could tell when they're laughing, when they're looking, because they just start randomly laughing. So he kind of looks at, he knows where the camera is. He'll look a couple of times to wink at the camera and stuff, mid conversation with these girls. But this is drawing some heat because some fans are saying that this was unprofessional, that this shouldn't be done
come on
TV during a professional sporting event. And then there's some people, I think you could summarize them as the Barstool sports crowd probably is saying this is the best thing ever. This is amazing. I saw a video last night calling this game, which I believe the Braves absolutely dominated. They called it the Wiley Ballard game. So my serious question.
Oh, hang on.
Serious question.
Nice. Thank you for that. Is it professional to hit on girls during a pro sports broadcast?
Dude, that's more than professional. That is using your position for the best reasons possible.
Yeah, it's leveraging your advantages.
I want to hear what Trisha says.
Yeah, I do too.
Counter question. Are
Serious question.
Thank you. Are those girls getting duped in any sort of way? because of this, because they're kind of running a very
duped,
very public con on them. Like, are the girls aware that,
or are they running the con on him?
I don't know.
But are you saying you're saying
that my guess, not having seen the footage, is that I think this was hilarious. But I'm wondering if there's a counterculture here that says, this is kind of crummy. If she gives her number, does that make her look a certain way? And if they don't, are they going to get pressure? Like, are the girls supposed to? So when you're a woman, you have to kind of also play the other game where if you give your number in this situation, do you look like you're too easy to get the number? And is it on this big stage?
But isn't that kind of, you're running cover for yourself, because you're like, look, this was on TV. This was a guy who clearly has a nice job. He's respected. People know him. Why wouldn't I give this guy my number?
But aren't you kind of getting never been kissed there or whatever?
What does that mean?
She's all that, where you're kind of not, he's not really getting your number because he wants your number. He's getting it because his buddies are like, let's pull a prank.
But what happens if he like I guess that all depends on if he goes on the date
on the motive. Yeah. But
couldn't she just have not participated? Like, she didn't have to do that.
100%. She could have not participated. And is she going to get judgment from one crowd for not participating? Because everybody's like, yeah, go get them. But then everybody else is like, these guys are messing with you. And that's kind of crummy. You know what I mean? Like, is she in a lose-lose? Because
well, this is why I wanted to know your opinion, because there legitimately are times that I've, as an adult now and married and been past that stage, that I've seen, people trying to hit, like guys usually trying to hit on girls, and thought for the first time ever, oh, I'd hate to be that girl. Because when I was that age, I was only thinking of myself as the guy. Now, as a guy who has a daughter, I'm thinking a little bit more like, oh, what would she do in that circumstance? Which is why I was like, well, what's the problem?
And I would clarify, I don't think all women are victims for getting hit on.
Sure, yeah.
Like, courtship goes both ways, and women like attention and men like attention, and we like to, get to know each other. But I didn't know if there was a world where this could have come off as kind of icky towards the girls.
I'm curious too, when it comes to these kinds of hits, none of them are ever, scripted is not the right word, because they are raw material, but there's no way that Wiley Ballard just went up and just out of the blue just interviewed these girls. I mean, there was definitely
he talked to them ahead of time to see if they were cool.
You guys good with this? But this is also super unique. Perhaps it has something to do with right now. The Blue Jays, I'm not even sure. The Blue Jays are at their normal ballpark, I believe. There's a couple of different teams that are playing in minor league ballparks this year, so it's making things a little bit different.
Does that change things for you? Would this be a minor league thing? If it was minors, would it be more because the reporter's not as rich?
I feel less icky about it if there's less money involved.
But this isn't even one of those minor league ballpark situations. So I don't know. I don't personally have any issues with it. I think it's good fun. I have to imagine there was some sort of communication before about, hey, we're going to interview you. Not sure what was discussed during that, right? If he's saying, hey, the broadcasters are wanting me to do this, but the Braves broadcasting crew is also infamously known for having a lot of fun. It's a fun group of guys. So it wouldn't surprise me too if they're like, oh, there's a couple of cute ladies. Go for it, Wiley, or something like that.
I like the old stodgy broadcasts with the old.
Keep going with this, Ryan.
Do one.
Here's a real one.
Serious question.
Have you ever given somebody a fake number? The room's looking at you, Trisha. Really?
Wow.
We don't get asked for numbers.
We're
guys.
Yeah, one time we ran around Nashville giving out a friend of ours number. Like, I went out with a group of girls.
You ran around Nashville? The grocery store?
National, the grocery store. No, we went out on a girls' trip to Nashville, and if people would ask for a number, we'd give it to another friend that we worked with at the time who was a guy, so he was just back home.
It's just a guy's number.
That's
I have
great.
a cold.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, this is me, Trisha. like a guy would have to do a deeper voice.
In the serious questions voice.
Right. All right. My story is a growing number of people want to be phone free after the Masters because, you had to leave your phone off of the course. Is that a new thing, by the way, Ethan?
No.
How long have they been doing that?
I don't have that answer, but I can get it really quickly.
Because I said, I went in 2017. I don't remember them telling us you can't take your phone. But they could have. I just don't remember that was a thing. But a lot of people are saying, you know what? Walking around for several hours without a phone, I loved it. And they're saying they really don't want to go back to carrying a phone. So, serious question.
Serious question.
Do you remember the first time you ever made a phone call? Because I don't. I figured you guys didn't either. But I just wanted to ask my
serious question.
That's a terrible serious question.
You sure?
It would be one thing if phones came out when we were in our teens or
They
something.
did. They did.
No.
Cells. Yeah, we didn't
Are you
have
talking
those.
about a cell phone?
No,
call?
just a call.
Mhm.
Just like the first time you ever called somebody.
No, I certainly don't.
You don't? Thanks for answering. Honestly. Brad?
I think I was 4.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, it was my
No way.
grandma.
You
Yeah.
remember calling your grandma
I
for the
remember
first
calling
time?
my grandma.
Was it an event?
Well, it's weird. It's
Yeah,
weird.
no way.
No, it's
There's
weird
no
because
way.
it's weird because I grew up. My parents had that trucking company. My mom ran it out of the house, so she was always answering the phone. So my parents told me even from like a little age, I would always answer my play phone. And so when I was young, I was like probably like 4 years old. It's like, yeah, call grandma. Push this one and this one and this one.
On your play phone?
No, on the real phone this time. So
I can't believe somebody said yes to that. I thought for sure everybody's going
I
to say
still
no.
don't believe it.
The whole
I
plan
think
was.
memory-
if anybody would have said yes, are you surprised that it was me?
No, I'm not.
at all.
The whole plan was I was going to ask that question, say no. Everybody was going to agree no, and there was going to be silence, and I was going to wrap the segment up. It was intentionally awkward.
Do you want us all to be quiet? Me to
Yeah,
start
if
playing
you
some
could.
music.
Yeah.
1933 is what AI Overview said. I don't know how that works.
That's when
but
the masters said you couldn't bring a phone.
Yeah.
Would you have to walk out with a dial-up?
That's what
With a
AI,
rotary
That's
phone?
what Google's AI Overview says.
Carrying it on your hip.
I guess if somebody did bring out like one of those old rotary dial phones, they'd be like, "No, sir, that's not allowed here at the Masters."
What if it rings?
Now that's how you end a segment.
Sing about you, know it feels good to be.
Danny's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Waited, I was alive and I waited for this.
Some people follow the rules, but where's the fun in that? I'm Soraya, and this is Rule Breakers, the podcast where we celebrate the rebels, the risk takers, and the ones who make their own way. Every week, I sit down with the boldest voices in sports, entertainment, and beyond to talk about breaking barriers, defying expectations, and rewriting the rules. No limits, no apologies, just real talk. Follow and listen to Rule Breakers with Soraya, an Odyssey podcast available now for free on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
As Passover begins, I want to share a bit about this meaningful Jewish holiday, especially for those of you who may have friends, neighbors, or coworkers observing it. Hello, I'm Danny Cohn, the new CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. Passover tells the story of Moses and the Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom in ancient Egypt. It is a time for family, reflection, and honoring traditions passed down through the generations. You might notice some of us eating different kinds of food, including matzah, a flat, unleavened cracker, and skipping bread this week. It's part of remembering the urgency of our ancestors' escape and journey towards receiving the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. Many families gather for a Seder, a special meal filled with symbolism and questions that spark conversation and learning. No matter what you celebrate this season, appreciating each other's cultures and traditions helps us build a more connected, compassionate St. Louis. So, from our Jewish community to yours, Happy Easter, Ramadan Mubarak, and Chag Pesach Sameach. Happy Passover.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: will America ever have a balanced budget again? The options are yes or no. Basically, in the 90s, Bill Clinton balanced the budget with Newt Gingrich as the Speaker of the House. And we want to know, do you think that they can actually come together to balance the budget again? So jump on Annie's YouTube page. Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment telling us why you voted the way you voted, and make sure you vote in the poll so that we can count that at the end of the show. And maybe we might feature your comment on air. The time is 2:29. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk. Annie's out, Brian and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
Where's all your money gone, Donnie?
Taxes. It's okay. It's part of the game.
No,
it's not. It's not fun. It's not fun to what?
It's the worst part of the game.
Is what?
Taxes.
Yep, and Trump's talking about getting rid of them. So that's good. What does tax day look like if there's no income tax on anybody under $150,000?
It's different. It's a lot different because you don't care because you probably don't make $150,000.
You probably still have to file though, right? You have to show that you made under 150.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just a wild thing to think about.
And
there was no income tax. I always refer back in my mind when we talk about no income tax, because in the Twilight Zone, which was in the 60s, early 60s, there's an episode where a guy gets on a train, and I think he goes to a place called Willoughby. And if you know Twilight Zone, there's a train conductor calling out the whole episode, Willoughby, next stop, Willoughby, over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets off in this town, but he doesn't realize until about halfway through it that, he's actually gone back in time. He's back in 1900 or something. Man. And so all the things that, generally he's just talking to people. He's like, why don't you have a phone? And why don't you have a TV and stuff? And then he finds out, this is a different time period. And one of the things he says in it is, you don't have income tax. And I always love that, because it was like, in the 60s, even then they were looking back and going, wow, what a great time.
Yeah. There was a time not that long ago.
Yeah, especially then. So that would have been people that still were alive that remembered not having income tax. So it's not that we've always had it, and we don't have to have it. And Trump thinks that we can get rid of it if we get enough money coming in from tariffs, which apparently we already are getting quite a bit. The NVIDIA announcement yesterday afternoon was pretty big. That's $500 billion.
Yeah, that's as much as the Apple announcement.
Yeah, it is. And moving all this tech onshore is awesome. And guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to red states. I don't mean to make that a part of the discussion, but it is a part of the discussion. They're going to go to states that have growing populations, favorable business laws.
Yep.
I would not be surprised. Missouri's moving in this direction. They're moving too slowly, but they're moving in that direction. There is an initiative to get rid of the income tax in Missouri. And I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually do. Kentucky and Mississippi, I think right now, are the two states that are poised to pass income tax legislation that effectively gets rid of their income tax too. So that's the first time since 1980 that a state's done that. It's been a long time.
Wow.
And so I love it. The movement's happening. People are actually pushing these things through. Missouri, you need to get your act together. I would tell Illinois, but I mean, whatever.
They don't care.
But hey, this is why I'm an advocate for Missouri to do it. Because if you get all the states around Illinois to do it, maybe Illinois will consider it.
They won't. They won't.
They might.
They will consider it when there is a different regime in charge. But this current regime, not a chance. They're going to do what they want, when they want, whenever they want.
So today is tax day, the deadline to file your taxes, unless you got an extension. Earlier in the show, I read a few places that are doing tax deals or tax day deals. Krispy Kreme is one of them. Essentially, it's a buy one, get one free dozen donuts. Burger King, 7-Eleven, a lot of these, Shake Shack, a lot of these places you have to sign up for their rewards program. Casey's is another one of those, but their rewards program, basically, if you buy a pizza, you'll get a credit for a free pizza. So it's not quite buy one, get one free on the spot, but you get one for later. Smoothie King is doing $3 off. Hooters is doing a percentage off. They're doing $4.15. Obviously, that's tax day, appetizers and stuff like that. A couple of the ones that I didn't read earlier that I meant to mention is Sonny's Barbecue is offering a St. Louis rib dinner for just $10.99.
Dang.
Checkers and Rallies are offering sandwiches for $3. White Castle's offering 15% off. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw those out there just because it's fun. I have a friend who it's funny because he is a veteran and I think he works military still, but as a civilian now.
Yeah.
But he is a veteran. And so on both his birthday and on Veterans Day, he just stacks these things up, and he'll take his birthday off and obviously Veterans Day that he gets off. And so he will look at lists like this and figure out how to plan his entire day going around and getting free things here and there. And it used to be that he'd text me like his route.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it anymore because he doesn't live as close, but he would say, okay, I'm leaving McDonald's right now, and I got my free ice cream cone. I'm headed to Panera, and then I'm going to get an oil change. And it was the random stuff, and he would take advantage of it, and it was like a sport for him. It was fun.
It's wild.
Yeah, but you can kind of do that on a day like today. If you have the right list, you can find all those discounts and use them. I wanted to mention real quick some weird news. This is something I've been following that everybody's been following when it was headline news, but it's not a headline anymore. And so the news that's kind of making chatter, I shouldn't even say that really officials in Canada are saying this, but there's a lot of chatter about it, that Canada is interested in joining the EU. Now, we know for sure that they are trying to bolster their relationship with the EU in light of our tariffs. But this is fascinating to me because everybody's saying, oh, Trump, he's such an idiot. He, like the left anyway, he's being so mean to our ally, and this 51st state stuff. I mean, it's stupid. But it's really him looking at the situation and saying, this is probably your best bet. Now, it doesn't mean they'd have to actually be the 51st state, but some sort of relationship change is what he's touting. And the fact that we are putting these tariffs on them right now, and it's obviously hurting them, is a part of that discussion. But it's not the full reason why that should happen. But the fact that they're even talking about joining the EU shows that Trump is right, that they actually do need an incredibly beneficial relationship with some power greater than themselves to really exist in the way that they do, which is why I'm interested in it. And I pulled this audio. Now, I'm going to warn you right now, the audio, the video itself is really interesting, but it sounds like it's a recording of a recording. So just bear with me. You can hear it fine. It's just not super high quality audio. But I want you to listen to what this Canadian investment, this was like a video made in 2023 about Canadian investments. So obviously before all the tariff stuff, this is during Biden, and here is what it sounds like.
From 2001 up until 2014, Canada took in tens of billions of more foreign investment from the United States than vice versa, meaning that businesses, large and small, from Walmart to your local carpenter, were much more likely to move to Canada and grow the economy than it was for a business to leave Canada for the United States. However, this changed in 2015.
Okay, did you hear that? A lot changed with businesses that were looking to open in North America. A lot changed in 2015, that just said. What happened in 2015 that changed everything? Justin Trudeau became the Prime Minister of Canada. Then shortly afterwards, Donald Trump won the election here. Then shortly afterwards, they passed USMCA, which replaced NAFTA. NAFTA was a terrible deal because it encouraged companies to move to North America, but not America, which is why Mexico and Canada benefited tremendously from that, which is why Trump wanted to renegotiate it. And now he's basically renegotiating it again in favor of America again. The audio continues.
And coincidentally or not, lined up with the current Liberal government getting into power. Regardless, quickly over the next decade, Canadian businesses, investors, entrepreneurs, and professionals started taking their money out of Canada and moving it to the United States. And well, where is that number now? Well, I am hoping that you are sitting down because this number was so shocking that it inspired me to make this video. By 2022, $1 trillion in book value had left Canada for the United States, and a net value of $460 billion left for the United States. That is $11,500 per person in Canada in net investment leaving Canada for the US. And that number for 2023 or even this year is potentially going to reach $500 billion in net outflow of investments from Canada to the US. That's about $12,500 per person.
Again, that was in 2023. So their economy was already bleeding investment essentially to the United States, partly because of USMCA, partly because of the bad conditions that Justin Trudeau has made for businesses there. I mean, he really did. And we saw a lot of that during COVID, a lot of the pressure that he would put on businesses to comply with all of the weird COVID mandates that put, you know, our blue cities are still suffering from it. Canada is a giant blue city. I mean, they are dealing with the repercussions of bad policy from the time Justin Trudeau got in 2015 through 2020 and now way past that. So that video outlines all of the investments that's been moving out of Canada for now a decade. And now the tariffs go into effect. So Trump knows what he's talking about when he says, look, we're going to do this because you've been getting a really favorable deal from us and we're not getting anything in return. He's looking for a reciprocal economy, not just from the tariffs. So he's saying what would benefit you most is if we just completely changed our relationship. Now, he says 51st state because I think he's kind of a showman. Maybe he actually believes that. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But the reality is economically, Canada is now in a place, and it's not just because of the tariffs. This has been happening, that they really do need a change in the way that they're doing business because they've done a bad job at it. And the fact that there's chatter that they're trying to join the EU shows that. They're just not big enough to live like they've been living, unfortunately. They don't have enough population. They don't have enough natural resources. They have natural resources. They don't have enough of them. Can't grow all the food there that we can grow here.
They don't have the economic ability to support all of the programs that they put into place either.
That's a fact. Very, very socialist type of government. They spend a lot of money. And they've been propped up by very favorable relationships with us. I mean, they have no national defense. We are their national defense. And we're saying that can't continue. And they're realizing that and going, well, we need somebody to be our national defense. The problem is all the trade that they're trying to do with the EU and the defense that they would get from the EU is more expensive because it's just farther away. So all the trade just takes longer. It's harder. And there's a lot more details because the EU is one entity, but every country is its own. And so there's a lot more that you have to work out there. It's not the easiest thing in the world, which is why I'm explaining why I think this is where Trump's mind has been. I could be wrong, but that's to me what the evidence shows, that he's not really far off here in suggesting that Canada should become a different, I'll just say, different relationship with the United States. And if you don't believe me, the Canadian politicians, they're in the middle of election season. Justin Trudeau set down. So they're all talking about Canadian pride and all that. And that's what they should be doing. So it doesn't sound as bad as it is. Here's the Bank of Canada last month.
Unlike the pandemic, if tariffs persist, there will be no economic bounce back. Long-lasting tariffs mean lower potential output because our economy works less efficiently.
So that's the reality of the situation that they're in. The politicians are going to say one thing, but that's the Bank of Canada making their official prediction that there will be not only no economic growth, that there's going to be a dip from which there will be no economic bounce back. That is not a rosy prediction. Just thought you'd like to know where things stand with Canada. We're not really talking about that much. Just throwing that out there. It's 2:43. This is the Annie Frey Show, but Annie will be back tomorrow. You're listening to the Mannie Frey Show currently.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is easy to find online. IGotFloor.com. Shopping for flooring is exciting. It is such a transformation when you put new flooring into your home, refreshing those, maybe old, dingy, worn hardwoods in your house with something that really brings the home to new life, or tearing out that old grungy carpet and putting in fresh new Mohawk Smart Strand carpet. The smell is so fresh and new, and the carpet is so soft to the touch. It also comes with an incredible resilience to make sure that you can still live your life on the carpet that you've now put in your home, made an investment in, and also enjoyed great value when shopping at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They have 3 locations across the St. Louis region. They're ready to invite you in their doors in St. Charles County, also West County, and Darden Prairie. But you can go online and learn about everything I'm talking about here, including the ability to request a free estimate or maybe even an in-home consultation. Just visit Michael's Flooring Outlet online at IGotFloor.com.
If you're a supporter of the Second Amendment, you need to be a member of the Range St. Louis West. Mark Cox here. They get free lanes and free firearm rentals, 5% off firearms and suppressors, 10% off accessories, and 15% off classes. The new benefit on Sundays from 10 to noon, the lanes are for members only. And in April, you get 2 free basic cleanings of a modern firearm. Check them out at 14803 Manchester Road in Baldwin, TheRangeSTL.com.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Game tickets? Check.
A round of cold beers? Check.
Ballpark hot dogs? Check.
Baseball is back and nothing beats a night out with the guys.
Or ladies.
At a Cardinals game.
From thrilling games and mouthwatering eats to the iconic ballpark energy, Busch Stadium is the ultimate spot for you and your crew to dive into America's favorite pastime.
Make your next night out the best one yet. Join us at Busch Stadium, where every hour is happy.
For tickets, visit Cardinals.com.
St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Find out why Renewal by Andersen has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis at RBASTL.com or call 314-332-1924. RBASTL.com or 314-332-1924.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is donating a bag of food to Open Door Animal Sanctuary for every AC clean and check performed in April. To schedule your AC check, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Mark Reardon getting set to go here on a Tuesday afternoon. The legacy media and the Democrats are working overtime today to get back an MS-13 gang member onto our soil. That is their #1 priority. We're going to talk about it. We also have Elliot Davis, former Fox investigative reporter, talking about some stuff in the city that's very fascinating. We'll get to that and more coming up after Fox News at 3.
Annie's out, Ryan and Brad are in. This is the Mannie Frey Show.
West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze, country road.
Back to this serious question about cell phone usage. The Masters keeps you from taking your phone onto the course, which I think is very cool. I don't remember doing that in 2017 when I went, but it was just a practice round, so maybe they don't actually care for the practice rounds. But back to that question, could you actually go? How long do you think you could go without a phone?
Like I could just forget that I had a phone and go. Like I could do that whole Masters thing without a phone.
But could you do it on a weekday?
On a weekday, not doing this job, I couldn't.
I wouldn't think so.
No, I need that.
What about a weekend?
A weekend, I could probably get away with it.
Could you do 2 full days?
If I knew that I didn't have to prepare a show for Monday, yeah.
Because I think the question here is tough to answer because I couldn't either, but it's because of all the business I'm constantly doing and have to communicate with people and doing things. But for personal fulfillment, I don't need the phone.
Yeah.
I use it a lot for that to like disengage, but I use it in the same way that I think Dad used to come home and kick up his feet and want to read the newspaper.
Right.
Is I just want to read Twitter, kind of read the news, kind of get we're in news, but we don't get to dwell on it as much as we do present it. So then going home and reading it is a little bit of a end of the day kind of ritual for me. So that's the personal fulfillment part. But I don't think I could do it just because of the amount of business. Could you, Ethan? How long could you leave your phone?
I want to say that I could put it away for if I really focused on it and I used it probably as like a fasting thing. I could probably put it away for like a couple of days. I think what I've learned just from seeing other people do it is the longer you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Right. It's because you adjust to like, how are you filling your time? But I imagine that I would have a pretty hard time at first.
You know, we talk about technology making life so much easier, and it totally does. I'm not saying that, but it also, your time never becomes freer. The washing machine comes out, and then you don't have to wash clothes, but then everybody knows you don't have to wash clothes. So they just tell you got to do some other stuff more. Like the phone, you'd think, I can get so many more things done so much quicker. But then everybody's doing that same thing. And so the playing field never really changes. You're always filling that time up with something else that you thought would free up your time by doing the technological thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, you look at even kids now. I mean, with technology now some little kids don't have like phones, but using iPads, they're using, mom and dad's laptops for miscellaneous, just keeping like occupying time. And then you hear people saying like kids don't even play outside or do those kinds of things anymore. It really goes to show. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to, unless there is a serious adjustment made, and it's parental discipline. Unless there's a change made, I think you're going to see each generation be more and more affected by technology in unhealthy ways.
I think I agree with you. And that's talking more about the entertainment side of it.
Yes.
I'm saying more just about the practical side of the way we use technology. Every time a new invention comes out, like if there was some sort of robot maid that came out that's like, it'll make your bed and do all your laundry for you. You'd be like, oh, hallelujah.
Right.
But then you'd think, I'm going to have all this free time now. You never do.
Right.
You never have that free time, just becomes something else.
I'm with you. Okay.
And you're expected, but you have a robot maid, so you can do this now.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody ever goes, I'll just leave you alone.
Right. It's just on to the next thing. There's always something.
Exactly.
The list doesn't ever end up being, now there's free time until it starts again. It's just, it starts again sooner.
The expectations change.
Yes.
That's just what it is.
Exactly.
Random switch to a different topic here.
Nice.
Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen the movie Escape from New York?
Not that I can think of. Escape from New York. No. 1981.
With
no, definitely not.
Snake
Nope.
Pilskin.
Although that is a young Kurt Russell. Boy, he's got some wavy locks there.
Yeah, he's an attractive dude.
Yeah, he is. Never seen it.
Never seen Escape from New York. Escape from L.A.
Probably not.
If you said yes to that one and not the first one, I'd be surprised.
My favorite movie.
I didn't realize it was based on an earlier version.
Oh, and it's an even better looking Kurt Russell.
He's a little older in that one, though.
He is.
So have you seen it, movie?
I've seen it.
Escape from both?
No, just the first one.
It's got a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Escape from
LA.
New York?
Escape from LA.
What about New York? Because LA was all right. I'll give it that. It wasn't amazing.
Oh, Escape from New York. It was a good rating. 86%.
It's a good movie.
That's really good for Rotten Tomatoes.
This really launched Russell Crowe's career. I'm Russell Crowe.
I get them and Gerard Butler mixed up all the time. Those three.
Okay.
So
you know what's weird though is that Kurt Russell had been in stuff since he was a kid. You can see him acting when he was even in his like teens. But he really broke through as an adult, I think, in this film. 1980s classic, Escape from New York. So this is it's actually made national news. I got this from Yahoo, but it's a local source. I think it was KTVI, one of the locals at Fox 2. They did a story about all the places. Did you know that Escape from New York was shot in St. Louis?
I did not know.
You didn't
It
know
was
that?
shot in St. Louis?
Almost the whole movie.
That
That
doesn't make much sense. I guess they're
It-
escaping New York.
Well, if
They're
you know the movie, it
not
kinda
in New
does.
York.
It's
Oh.
sad in a way because they make New York into basically this like concrete prison hellscape.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it.
And I won't.
It's the premise of the movie.
You know what he does? You know what he tries to do from New York, though?
No,
He
escape?
tries to escape.
Oh,
And guess
crap,
what happens?
You ruined it for me.
Yeah. But most of the movie was shot here, and they go through all the different locations. The main one that I've always heard about is the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Now, the Chain of Rocks Bridge is not, as far as I understand it, it depends on what you're referring to, this Chain of Rocks, because the bridge that people use to drive over, I think some people call that the Chain of Rocks,
Right.
but the original Chain of Rocks Bridge still exists.
It's the footbridge now, isn't it?
It's a footbridge, and you can get to it by going to Shodo Island, and then that crosses over into North St. Louis. And it is an awesome bridge that you can ride your bike over the river, and it's beautiful, especially this time of year, to walk or ride on that bridge. I can't get my kids to do it. They love the idea, and then they get there and they're like, actually, it's more.
That's a little rusty.
It's more my wife actually than the kids.
Is it one of those bridges where you can see through the deck?
I don't remember. I don't think so, but I don't remember.
Also,
we've never ridden the whole thing, so I can't tell you.
Regarding Kurt Russell, first movie, 1965, The Guns of Diablo. Or
he was a kid, right?
La Pistolas del Diablo. And yes, he is a kid.
Wait, it was called The Guns of Diablo or Las Pistolas
I'm seeing
of Diablo?
two titles right next to each other, like movie
So they
pictures,
didn't
like
change
pictures of
Diablo.
the movie. Well, Diablo, yeah, correct. Yes, yeah, correct.
Stick with Diablo. It sounds
Guns of
cool.
Devil.
Okay. Union Station was also in the movie. I don't remember. I've watched the movie, but I don't remember seeing, it's not like they show an iconic shot of Union Station. It's part of the movie.
Right.
I do remember them being underground in some of the scenes
Yeah.
and thinking, oh, that kind of looks, like around here, because I knew that they had shot it here when I was watching it, but I couldn't really identify a whole lot. The point of the movie isn't so that you see St. Louis scenery.
Right.
It's so that you enjoy the movie, and it's using the background as kind of a set in a way. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. The article is pretty cool because it goes through all the different spots that the movie is in, but the
That's
most famous
interesting.
ones are Union Station and the Chain of Rocks Bridge.
Very cool.
Today's poll: will America ever have a balanced budget again? Yes or no, Ethan?
Oh, for clarification, real quick, by balanced budget, do you mean that
No national debt.
Got it.
Just
okay,
a balanced budget.
Yes, I think that this administration can do it.
What are the results of the poll?
181 votes for today's YouTube live chat poll. Will America ever have a balanced budget again? Yes, 47%. No, 53%.
Wow,
So
that's pretty close.
That's a lot closer than I thought it would be.
What are you, Brad?
I'm a no.
Gosh, I know.
It's really hard to see these sides coming together.
I hate to say that. I'm going to say yes. But unfortunately, if it doesn't happen in this 4 years, maybe even this 2 years, I don't think it will ever
I do agree with that.
happen. So this is very important stuff. Congress, we know you listen. Balance the budget. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, and Annie will be back.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage